A few moments later.
Everybody has their own way of playing the game. But my way of playing the game is winning the game. They want to go and be victims? Good. Let's make them earn it.
Turmoil didn't go as quiet as planned. Okay, guys. So, haven't been here on here in a while. I want to take advantage of all the free stuff. Probably won't spend too much time on this because of my tooth, but you know, just in general, I like to bow. That's cool. Okay, I mean, hoopla, hoopily bloopla. Yeah, you can't make this shit up. I like. I mean, why not? Yep.
We have said for weeks that Democrats shutting down TSA and critical infrastructure in our country should be illegal, it's immoral, and that people will die, and now people have died. And it's awful. There are a number of people who have died or may well die, 70 injuries, 2 deaths as of right now, when a plane was split in half, effectively, as it landed in LaGuardia. LaGuardia, of course, is a massive airport in New York City. This is an Air Canada flight. It was taken off from Montreal. The air traffic controller pleads, truck one, stop, 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 before an Air Canada jet smashes into an emergency vehicle that was on the runway, and the plane is gone. The pilots are dead. Many more may well be dead. See here what happened. The aircraft collides with a fire engine right here, and how like just completely fragile all of this is. Look, that dude, the plane is just wrecked. 71 people are injured. We don't know if there's going to be more deaths because of this. I mean, could you imagine? Look at this. Look at that. Look at how many people. Look, that could be your seat. That could be your mom's seat. This is where the stewardesses sit, of course, right there in the bulkhead. Who's at fault here? Well, typically it's the air traffic controllers. Let's go ahead and read. Audio has been released from the moment an air traffic controller pleaded for a fire truck to stop before an Air Canada jet crashed into it while landing in LaGuardia, killing the pilot and co-pilot. A flight from Montreal was landing. It was landing close to midnight on Sunday night. The aircraft struck a fire truck on the runway. Air traffic control audio shared with NBC New York reveals the moments leading up to the collision, which began with another flight reporting an emergency on the other side of the airport. The fire truck was cleared to cross the airport's runway 4 before air traffic controllers frantically urged a Frontier plane bound for Miami in the vehicle to stop. Audio from the air traffic controller. Let's listen.
Cross 4 Delta.
Truck 1 and Company with LaGuardia Tower requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 Delta.
Truck 1 and Company crossing 4 at Delta.
So you hear,
Frontier 4195 to stop there, please.
I want to like just pause for just one moment. Like you can hear the truck operator, like the fire truck guy, being like, "Do I have permission to go across this runway?" And he was given permission to go across the runway. Okay.
Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. Jet 646. Jet 646, I see you collide with a vehicle here, just hold position. I know you can't move. The vehicle's there responding to you now.
Is the runway closed?
Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000.
Heading 2000, go around, Delta 2603.
Tower.
Truck 32, runway 4 is closed, correct?
Yes, go on to runway 4 now. Proceed on runway 4, you have access. Frontier 4195, I got the word that we're going to be closed for a little while. If you want to prepare to return to the ramp, let me know.
Yeah, we got stuff in progress for that, man. That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know, I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier, and I messed up.
No, man, you did the best you could.
Wow. So it sounds like pretty obviously the air traffic controller let a fire truck go when he shouldn't have, and tried to get the fire truck to stop after letting him effectively travel across the runways, and then smashes the plane. Yikes. I mean, are these guys defunded too? Aren't they part of TSA? I mean, aren't these guys part of, like, you know, isn't the controllers? The air traffic controllers are federal government too. You know, air traffic controllers under Department of Transportation. Plane can be seen on the tarmac after the incident. The nose was badly damaged. Front tilted in the air. There was no nose left. 2 pilots are dead after the collision. 41 people are hospitalized. 70 people have now been hospitalized because of this. 70 people were on the plane. This is bad. The flight was affiliated with Jazz Aviation, a regional airline in Nova Scotia, operating on behalf of Air Canada. According to unnamed sources, a female flight attendant was ejected through the front of the jet while she was still in her seat during the crash. She survived.
I gotta do something. I think I'm gonna combine the diner kit underneath in that
so like who's at fault here exactly?
Abandoned mine shaft here, so I can have a full reign of the diner underground.
The runway's clear. I got a buddy who flies, and you're able to sit up in the cockpit,
make a better version of it, and then bring it out in a template.
Controllers, and they're the ones who's in charge of where the plane goes. They tell you. The pilots don't say when they go. The pilots don't decide I'm going to take off or I'm not going to take off. It's the air traffic controllers who are ordering everybody to go, and they order you, of course, when you can land, where you can go after you land. Every square inch of your activity is commanded to you by an air traffic controller.
Sunday night.
And so it's it's really hard to think of anybody, anyone else who would be at fault here, other than the air traffic controller. It's crazy. There's been obviously other incidences this week. Deadly crash at LaGuardia Airport. Ground stop completely.
CA just confirmed there's now at ground stop. There's now a ground stop at Newark Airport after one of the ATC towers had to be evacuated, meaning that 2 of the 3 major New York airport right now are shut down.
Jeez, what is that going to do for travel? Man, I'm glad I traveled yesterday and not today. This is going to be insane. What is the, like, again, let's go ahead and read the FAA statement. Obviously, they're in charge of the air traffic controllers. Struck a firefighting vehicle, right? We know that. The accident occurred nearly midnight, 11:40, arriving from Montreal. They're investigating. The airport's closed. Information is preliminary.
Wow, that guy just bought
Two pilots.
all my flamer fuel.
Man, it just looks
That's like
terrible.
10 G's right there.
The passenger saying that the plane he collided with the fire truck. Two pilots were killed. LaGuardia closed. Oh, it's just brutal. Look at that. They're just like tin cans, you know? They're just like tin cans. Look at that. Rough idea of how much of the nose is missing. So much gone. The plane center of gravity is now behind the wing. It's tilted back. Look at that. The entire nose is just ripped clean off. LaGuardia had one guy working ground and tower. That's insane. Of all places, not there. Hear it. Bad news. Pray for the families. And we need to refund our critical infrastructure in this country. This is insane. This is insane. This has gotten insane. We'll see what happens next. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Being a butcher during the Middle Ages was a tough gig because unlike today when we're able to distance ourselves from the rather unpleasant goings-on that take place leading up to meat being on the table, medieval butchers did much of the messy and rather smelly work.
You gotta love this guy, Tasting History with Max Miller, man. He's really on it.
Right in plain sight. And people didn't love it. But I guess they learned to put up with it because that is how they got to enjoy dishes like this 1430 recipe for spiced meat and onions with a sauce of wine and saffron. So thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video as we take a closer look at what it was like to be a medieval butcher. This time on Tasting History. Today's recipe comes from the Harleian manuscript 279, which was compiled in England around 1430, and the dish is called brawn en peurade, and that roughly translates to meat in a spice sauce. Take mighty broth of beef or of capon, and then take clean fresh meat and seethe it, but not too much. And if it be fresh meat, roast it, but not too much, and then cut it in pieces and cast it into the broth. And then take whole onions and peel them, and then take vinegar thereto and cinnamon, then take cloves, mace, and powdered pepper, and cast thereto, and a little saunders, and set it on the fire, and let boil till the onions and the meat be cooked enough, and not too much. Then take liquor made with bread and vinegar and wine, and cast thereto saffron to make the color bright, and salt, and serve it forth. Now, typically during this time, the term brawn referred to boar. Not always, but typically. Unfortunately, finding the right piece of boar meat today for this, something that can be simmered for a long time, is rather difficult. So I would suggest going with something like 2 pounds or 1 kilogram of beef roast or pork shoulder, then several small onions, 1 to 2 quarts or liters of chicken or beef broth. You just want enough to cover the meat and the onions, and then a quarter cup or 60 milliliters of white wine vinegar. And the recipe says that if it is fresh meat, we should roast it a little bit. The other option would be something like smoked or salted meat, and that's what they would actually eat for much of the year. That just goes right into the pot. But if it is fresh meat, and that's what I'm going to be using, I'm going to roast it on a spit over an open fire. Except I don't have a spit or an open fire in my house, so I'm going to just grill it very quickly in a pan, making sure to get some color, but again, I don't want to cook it all the way through. Then heat up the chicken or the beef broth in a pot and add the vinegar, and while it heats up you want to peel the onions and cut off the end, and once steaming you can add the meat and the onions. And then we're going to add the spices, and it is quite a bit of spices, and here we are going to dispel a myth that I see still poking around the internet all the time, and that is that medieval people used a lot of spices in their cooking to cover up the flavor of tainted meat. And that is just ridiculous for so many reasons. First of all, as a butcher, you didn't want to be selling bad meat. It was a big no-no, it was illegal, and you would get into a lot of trouble, but it did happen. However, no amount of cinnamon that you add to rotting meat is going to cover up that smell. Also, the idea that the spices were used to cover up the flavor of rotting meat would also apply then to the amount of spices that they used to flavor their pastries and their fruit. And are you assuming that all the fruit and pastry was rotten too? It just don't make sense. Then there is the fact that spices were actually really expensive. They were usually kept in a cabinet under lock and key. So, if you could afford a lot of spices, you could afford to get good, fresh meat. Again, just doesn't make any sense. So with that in mind, make sure you are subscribed to Tasting History. It really does help out the channel as I unlock my spice cabinet and gather up 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of cloves, 2 teaspoons of mace, 2 teaspoons of pepper, and 1 teaspoon of sandalwood. Now sandalwood, or what in the recipe they call Saunders, is not very flavorful, actually. It just adds a deep red color to the dish, so if you don't have it, it's not a big deal if you leave it out. So once the meat and the onions are simmering, add in all of those spices and stir them in. And this is really where the meat is going to get most of its flavor, so if you want to add more, feel free to do so. Then let the pot come to a until the meat and the onions are nice and tender. And here the recipe is unclear, to say the least, as so many medieval recipes are. It says that we're going to make a liquor or a sauce of wine, vinegar, and bread. The bread will help to thicken it. Then it says cast thereto saffron to make the color bright. And we are going to do that, but what is unclear is then do I take that bright yellow sauce and add it to the rest of the cooking liquid? Because I did that, and it just diluted the color so much that it really didn't have much of a point in making it yellow in the first place. So maybe the quantities are different. It's hard to tell because they don't give any in any of these recipes. And I looked at other recipes from this period for this dish, and they were all just as unclear. So as I am chief master chef of this kitchen, I am making an executive decision to serve that sauce on the side. Is it right? I don't know. Might be, might not be. But it doesn't matter, because that's what's about to happen. So for that, you'll need 1.5 cups, or 350 milliliters of white wine, a 1/4 cup, or 60 milliliters of white wine vinegar, or I use this honey vinegar, which is a little bit sweeter and has more of a yellow color, and they would have been able to make that. So yeah, if you have honey vinegar, use that. Then a large pinch of saffron. The more saffron you use, the brighter this color is going to be, and that's the whole point of it. Then about 3/4 cup of breadcrumbs made from stale bread, and a small pinch of salt. So start by adding the wine and vinegar to a small saucepan and then add the crushed up saffron threads to it and let them steep for about 5 minutes. And this is where the color is really going to come out. Then break up the breadcrumbs and add them to the saucepan, stirring it all together, and set it over medium heat and let it come to a simmer. And stirring the whole time, let it cook for about 3 minutes. This will let the starch come out of the bread and will thicken the sauce. Then pass this through a strainer so it's not too gritty. We want a nice smooth sauce, and set it back over low heat and gently simmer for a few more minutes until it starts to thicken up. And it will continue to thicken up as we return not to the meat, but to the person who supplied that meat, the medieval butcher. So people are always asking me to do a Q&A on this channel, but I don't because, I don't know, it doesn't really fit with my whole thing. So I have recently done a Q&A over on our second channel, Catch Up with Max and Jose. So I'll put a link to that in the description. If you have questions, I have answers. Now it seems that the job of a butcher was not really a thing during the very early Middle Ages. At least not like a dedicated profession, because it's not until around the year 900 that we start to see butchering move out of the home and into dedicated slaughterhouses where techniques and cuts were standardized and butchering equipment became common. The 10th century is also when we start to see streets entirely named after the butchering profession, meaning that the whole street was filled with butchers. These were things like Butcher's Row, Butcher's Lane, or the flesh shambles. Coming from the Old English word for bench or stall, the shambles were narrow streets where butchers slaughtered and sold meat. And many cities had shambles, but the most famous is the Shambles of York, which as recently as 1885 was still home to 31 butcher shops. Today it's mostly stores selling overpriced candles and Harry Potter merchandise to tourists. Also, I've heard that the shambles were designed to be so narrow and the buildings kind of come out and almost no light can get in because having less sunlight would make it so that the meat would last longer because it would stay nice and cool. Now, I couldn't find any actual documentation saying that, but it would absolutely make sense because keeping your meat quality was one of the most important and most difficult jobs of a butcher. In 1266, a document outlining different laws and punishments if you broke those laws said that you would be sent to the pillory if any butcher do sell contagious flesh, or that died of the murrain, or flesh that hath been kept so long that it loseth its natural wholesomeness. Murrain at the time could refer to numerous plagues which wiped out large amounts of cattle and sheep, so essentially, don't sell sick animals. Some law codes had it so the first offense was just a fine, or if you couldn't pay the fine, then you went to jail for 20 days with bread and water. And on the second offense, then it was double that fine, or you went to the pillory. And on the third offense, it was doubled yet again, and the pillory with loss of one of his ears. And also shall at times after that be taken as a man infamous, not to be credited at any time in matters of judgment. Some towns would cast you out and banish you if you were caught selling bad meat, and during the Middle Ages that was one of the worst punishments because usually it meant that you kind of had to live outside of the law in the forest, an outlaw if you will. Now, one specific case of selling bad meat that I enjoy comes from the Memorials of London in 1348. It documents the case of John Glisson of Renham and Agnes la Ismangere, the daughter of an ironmonger. They were accused of dealing in rotten meat, for they had exposed for sale in divers places in the city of London putrid and stinking meat, in deceit and to the period of the lives of persons buying the same, and to the scandal and disgrace of the mayor, aldermen, sheriffs, and all the commonalty of the city aforesaid. Well, Agnes swore that yes, she sold the meat, but only after buying it from John, and when she did so, she thought that it was good meat. And then John kind of fesses up and says, yeah, I sold her the bad meat. And that shortly before he sold to the said Agnes the meat aforesaid, he had found a certain dead sow thrown out near the ditch without Halegate in the suburb of London, which sow he then flayed, and the flesh of the same, cooked as well as raw, he exposed for sale to the aforesaid Agnes, and to others who chose to buy it. Well, Agnes was acquitted, and John was found guilty, and sent to the pillory on Cornwall. And the said John should be first upon the pillory there, and the said flesh be burnt beneath him, while upon the pillory. Basically, the rotten meat was put under his nose and set on fire as a sort of olfactory punishment. Another punishment that I found rather interesting comes from around 1320 during the reign of Edward II, when some butchers had their beef and their pork confiscated because that they had exposed the said meat for sale by candlelight. Turns out it was illegal to sell meat by candlelight or after the church bell had rung nons, the 9th hour of daylight in the day. Sometimes they were barred from even cutting meat by candlelight or in the evening because the idea was that if you could see the meat, then even if it didn't smell rotten, you might be able to see that it was starting to go off. But in the evening light or by candlelight, well, they could maybe hide it, so then you end up buying some meat that smells okay, but is kind of gray and slimy. Of course, the meat that you're buying, you are hoping at least, is fresh, and much of the meat was sold fresh, but even more of the meat was actually preserved by either brining or salting or smoking. This could preserve meat for months or even years in some cases. And that was the meat that you would be eating for most of the winter, as butchers did much of their work in November and December and then kind of took the winter off. The butchers of medieval Europe actually had very interesting work schedules because there were entire swaths of the year where their services were not required, and very often it was actually illegal for them to work. These were the many fasting days throughout the liturgical calendar. The list of days would change throughout the years, but typically it included the 40 days of Lent plus every Friday, and at times could also include every Wednesday and every Saturday, as well as in the 12th century it included another 40-day fasting period during St. Martin's Lent, which was most of November and December. It all kind of changed on who was Pope and what country you were in and everything, but no matter where you were, you had a lot of days where you couldn't eat meat, and butchers were not allowed to sell meat on those days, and in some places were not allowed to actually butcher on those days either, meaning they didn't have anything else to do. And I love that in many cities like London, the people who were in charge of making sure that the butchers didn't sell their meat were the fishmongers, because fish was what most people were eating on those meatless days. What I really love, though, is at times people would really go out of their way to stretch the rules around eating meat or not eating meat to include things as fish that were not fish. Basically, anything that came from the water was considered a fish at times, including things like beavers or aquatic birds. There was even a monk who said that veal should be considered a fish because it had so recently been in the womb, which had an aquatic nature, so it's basically a fish. It's really, really stretching it. Now, with all these meatless days, it just meant that when a butcher could do some butchering, they really had to make the most of their time and make use of absolutely every piece of meat that they could use. The best cuts, of course, they would sell to whoever could afford it, though they had many laws about how much they could charge, and if they were found to be overcharging, then they would get in trouble with the guild. And here we have perhaps the most confusingly written medieval law I've ever come across. Please let me know if you can make sense of this. Item, that butchers and all other sellers of all manner of victual shall be bound to sell the same victual for a reasonable price, having respect to the price that such victual be sold at in the places adjoining, so that the same seller have moderate gains and not excessive, reasonably to be required according to the distance of the place from when the said victual be carried. That is what one calls a word salad. It basically just means that you can't overcharge for meat unless you have to travel with it a long ways, and then you can add a little bit, but not too much to the price. But seriously, whoever was writing that just couldn't take a second pass, maybe clean up the sentence structure a little bit? I don't know. Anyway, the reason that you might have to travel a long way with your meat is that starting around the 12th century, many cities put in laws restricting where slaughterhouses could be. Before that, or in smaller towns, the butcher would just slaughter the meat in the back room and then bring it out and sell it. But slaughtering is a dirty and rather smelly business, and so cities were like, no, you gotta do it like on the outskirts of town. From there, the butcher would have to transport the 4 pieces of the cow, and sometimes it was 6, depending on the size of the cow, back to their shop, and if it was like a sheep or a pig, then it was usually the whole thing, back to their shop, wherever it was in town, and only then could they actually sell the meat. And a lot of the pieces that weren't the best cuts actually went to other places in town. Like in Paris, the cut called the numbles, which is a good foot long and no more, and stretches from the neck at one end to the kidney. This section belongs rightfully to the one who holds the cow's feet during the skinning. He sells it in a small stand that is below the grande boucherie, and it is of little value. Then there were things like the livers and lungs and stomach, or the rennet from inside the stomach that was used to make cheese, and those would be sent along to something called the tripe shop. Then there were also just bits and bobs that really nobody wanted, nobody was going to buy, and those they would call entrails, and very often butchers were found to just kind of like toss them anywhere, including into the streams. So laws were enacted to say the entrails of butchered beasts and pails of blood are not to be carried away by day, but only by night. No pail of blood should be left uncleansed for a day and night, whether in winter or summer. No butcher nor any other person may cast entrails over Severn Bridge. No butcher may work in the city as a cook. The last part, the fact that they couldn't work in the city as a cook, was usually because if the butcher was cooking the meat to sell, it was because they were trying to hide the fact that it was about to go bad. Luckily, I am not a butcher, so I am allowed to cook this meat, which I did not purchase by candlelight, and so I am pretty confident that it should be fresh. And here we are, a 15th century dish of spiced meat and onions with a sauce of wine and saffron. All right, I transferred it to a bowl that does not conduct heat as much as the metal, because that was hot. I'm actually gonna just try some of the meat alone and see how much spice transferred into that meat. Good amount. That's nice. So the flavor of the spices is there, but it's not super strong until you get a little bit of the broth, and that's actually where most of the spices are. So most of the spices didn't actually get into the meat. You do need that broth with it, but none of the spices are overpowering. It's a kind of nice complement. Usually clove can very quickly punch you in the face, but here it was a very little amount, and I think that was the right call. But really nice, very tender. I'm going to try it though with some of this kind of saffron sauce. Here we go. So, one, the color of that sauce, beautiful. Two, it is very medieval in its flavor because you get the saffron, but it is vinegary. And if you look at sauces throughout the Middle Ages, vinegar is always a very strong flavor. It's kind of like vinegar and sweet and spicy would often be the flavor combination. Kind of like a vinegar-based barbecue sauce that you would get today. That's the idea of medieval sauces very often. The thing is, when you make a sauce using the bread as a thickener, when it starts to cool down at all, it kind of gets too thick and too grainy, and it's no longer a sauce. It really needs to be quite hot, like right when you're cooking it, and after just a few minutes it starts to kind of thicken. So, but you know, if they're bringing it all the way from the kitchens and not in the main house, I don't know why I did that accent, it probably wouldn't have been super hot. You know, just how it is. But it's really good. Now the onion. I'm not going to just pop this whole thing in my mouth. Maybe if I had pearl onions or something, I would do that. But I'm just going to, but it's so soft, it just kind of like comes apart. So I'm going to try that. I love cooked onions. Not a big fan of raw onions, but cook them and they are just the bee's knees. It's really wonderful. I'm curious to know like exactly what this dish was like, because the recipe is so vague and leaves so much up to interpretation that I'm unclear. So if I ever get a chance to go back in time, this probably won't be the first thing that I do, but it's definitely on the list of things that I want to check out. How do you make this dish, Chief Master Cook in whatever fancy castle you're in? So I want to share something else with you that didn't really fit into the episode, but I thought it was really interesting, is in the Middle Ages, in the city of York, they used to put on every Feast of Corpus Christi, which is in June, they would put on these mystery plays all around town, dozens of them at the same time. And mystery plays are not like Agatha Christie mysteries. They are tellings of biblical stories. And the stories, the plays, would be put on by the different guilds of the town, and they would try to make it so that the guild kind of had some connection with the story. Like the Shipwrights Guild would present the story of Noah's Ark, and the Vintners Guild would perform where Jesus turned the water into wine. The ironmongers, who would make nails, would typically enact the story of nailing Christ to the cross, and then to depict the actual death of Christ, they would bring in the Guild of Butchers because they're butchers, and so that's who they had perform that part. I don't know. It just kind of, I thought that was interesting. It seems a little on the nose, but very interesting. And from what I hear, the city of York has kind of revived this tradition of doing some of these. I don't think they have, you know, the Butchers Guild anymore, but doing some of these mystery plays every year. Maybe not. Maybe this was a one-time thing. I'm not sure, but if ever I'm in York in June, I want to go see them. And whenever I find things that are fascinating like this that really don't fit into the episode at all, I put those into the Tasting History newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for that, you can do that over at tastinghistory.com, a website that I put together with help from today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest all-in-one platform for building a website, and you don't need to be particularly well-versed in creating websites and design to actually use it, because their professionally designed templates give you a great place to start, and then their intuitive tools, like their drag-and-drop editing, allow you to customize your site to really make it yours. Then they have a wonderful suite of business tools, whether you offer services or sell products, and they help make online payments, inventory, shipping, and fulfillment a seamless process. I, of course, use their email campaign tools every month when I send out the newsletter, but if you have a business, you can send it out to keep in touch with your customers. So head over to Squarespace for a free trial, and when you are ready to launch, then you can go to squarespace.com/tastinghistory to get 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. And I will see you next time on Tasting History.
Over in Cuba, you got the Hassan Piker and Co. and Code Pink out there visiting Cuba. Now, there's this incident they say members of Pablo and Hassan's VIP flotilla throw food at Cuban kids, this is like translated, to make them dance while they record videos for their social media. They've crossed all the limits and they think they're dealing with animals. Cuba is not a safari for foreigners. And in the video I released a couple hours ago, I wasn't certain if this was real because this looks bad. If this was them tossing out food like they're at a petting zoo, disgusting. They don't need the audio, I guess, but even the guy's upset about it. Now, could this be an old video? Why is it in like 380p? Like, what's going on here? So I was a little bit hesitant to say, hey, this is definitely happening. But apparently there's more video footage of it where Ilhan Omar's, I think, daughter went on that trip to Cuba, and he's like, oh, I'm so proud of it. But then other people are finding other videos saying, hey, they're part of an organization that was making kids sing and dance in exchange for cookies. Now again, sure, the kids are happy to get food and cookies and things from America. I mean, good thing. But also, I think it validates the claims that this group of people, which looks like it's Code Pink, actually went down there to toss candies and treats at them while they dance and sing for their supper. This is beyond disgusting. They're treating them like dogs. It's insane how they think they're the good guys. And you have this person like Stu Smith Studio. He's great. It's like exposing extremism. Good account. But they're out there blaming the blackout. So they go there, use the 5-star hotel, have a concert that has the big loudspeakers, all the lights. They're using all the energy, all the air conditioning, and they're somehow blaming the Cuban blackout on Donald Trump and MAGA.
It's my last night in Cuba. As I'm sure you saw, there was a nationwide blackout all of yesterday and into the afternoon today. We finally got power back like a few hours ago. And several people, of course, passed away because when you have a ventilator that you need to survive and your ventilator...
And again, I haven't heard this reported anywhere other than social media. So we take it with a grain of salt. Did everybody on a ventilator pass away? Probable or possible, but I don't know if this is real.
Ventilator stops working because your nation is being blockaded. You don't have energy. You die. That's how it works. And so what I'm thinking about as I'm about to return home to the privilege...
And again, there in the video I covered, there's been massive blackouts, grid shutdowns, even in the Biden administration. They have grid blackouts all the time. It's their crumbling infrastructure and the fact that they got to cater to propaganda tours that want to feed the kids like they're animals at a petting zoo. That's the reason they don't have power right now. Because even during the Biden administration, they had blackouts continuously. And I believe in 2021... they said when the Cubans were protesting the blackouts and how they're allocating resources, they too blamed the U.S., but then they blamed Biden. But here we have all these activists old enough to remember the Biden administration. Apparently none of them were too concerned about these blackouts during Biden's administration, but suddenly Trump's in office, and now everything's our fault, combined with we need to go down there and make social media content.
Comforts of being a United States citizen. I'm also thinking of all the people that are not saying anything. All the people that call themselves leftists, that call themselves progressives, that are...
Again, here's a purity test. I'm doing the current thing. If you're not in the current thing, I'm gonna shame you into being in the current thing. Same thing with Ukraine, same thing with Palestine, same thing with masking, same thing with vaccines. It's always this shaming. You're not pure enough. You're not on the insider track. I'm doing everything to save lives. You're not saving lives? Oh, you're not a real leftist. You don't pass a purity test. Are you a MAGA conservative? Are you a Trump supporter? You must be a Nazi. You're a fascist. Boom, we've been able to get it. We've gotten you to go down the pathway of you either adhere to all of my demands and everything I learn about in my free time, or you are a Nazi that deserves to be harmed. It's scary how this works out here.
Assisting a nation in killing people and making people suffer that I have now personally had the chance to
how do I make their suffering about me? How do I get to be the main character in their suffering? Didn't you know? I care more about their suffering than you. I've met them face to face. Did I cause a blackout by using all their energy? Possibly, but you know, we don't care about that, because if you attack me for going there, I'm just gonna attack you for not going there. But also, this is about me. How do I make this scenario about me? Because I'm the main character, and I can guarantee it. Whoever this girl is, give her 1 year, she'll be on to the next thing. 0 words about the Cuban kids experiencing blackouts. The ventilators going down. Give them 1 year, they don't care. I imagine I can probably map out her life. Not necessarily this individual person, but I can say Cuba, Iran, Palestine, Ukraine, vaccines, masking, slow the curve, Coney 2012. Like, you can just follow that down the path. I'm pretty certain I can get most of these types down to a T. But yeah, Coney 2012, yeah.
From. So this is a call out to all of you. If you are not talking about Cuba for any excuse.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot also. Probably Black Lives Matter is in there. If you do not have a black square as your profile picture, you are not. You are a racist. Oh, wait, no. We're not black. We can't have the black. The black cube is reserved for black people on social media. We need to have something else. Like, this is just that.
Just understand, you're assisting in what is occurring right now.
You're assisting in it. If you're not with us, you're against us. Silence is violence. Here's all it is. And the crazy part is, like I said, the grift. Oh, I was all about Ukraine. I was about Palestine. I was about Coney. I was about all this stuff. We talked about this guy in the video where, you know, the kids are there. Here's a diamond-encrusted chain. Now, you would think this guy's bowling, but then again, when I looked up this Versace chain, it's not a gold chain. It's made of brass, and that's what happens when you have, you want to have something to flex. The designers are being cheap now. Like, they'll have the gold chain, but it's not real gold. Like, I have a silver chain. It's a nice designer chain, but it's actually made out of sterling silver. It's made out of stainless steel. So it's cheaper material. It gets the look. I like it. Like, this right here is like a spinal necklace. Is like what baseball players wear. It's not the real diamonds. It's not the real spinals or whatever. It's for the look. I get it, but it's the flashiness of this guy with what looks like Versace shades, gold grill, count them, 5 chains, freshly manicured beard and braided braids, braided hair, and gold earrings with diamonds in it. Got all this going on, but Bad Hombre's calling him out saying, perhaps one of the best case studies of leftist grifter industrial complex, and that's what it's been called now. So he starts an Amazon warehouse picker complaining about working conditions on Instagram. I love Amazon, even though I know they don't treat their warehouse workers right. It is a shitty job. I like Apple. I'm recording on a Mac right now. I know they're not treating their cell phone employees well. Or their manufacturers well. But they say the union formed in Staten Island warehouse and immediately gets plagued with infighting and corruption, of course, because the unions are always there to say, yeah, we're going to help you guys out a little bit. Back in the day, unions actually served a purpose, but now, unions are just there to feed the top of the ladder and just carve out some extra money for themselves. So, because he's fighting the unions in New York, he gets amplified by AOC and Bernie Sanders. Lands a book deal from Penguin Random House. And again, I'm saying he probably landed a book deal because, not because he had some brand new way of thinking about unions or whatever, it's because he checks all the boxes. He's got the Hassan look. Right color, right time. Looks like I imagine he's like a in-shape guy. Checks off all the boxes. Parasitically moves on from the Free Palestine movement. So he's like, okay, unions, the next thing, Free Palestine. His net worth explodes 7,000%. He's now working with the CCP's Code Pink on propaganda trips to Cuba. Again, this is the leftist grifter industrial complex moving from thing to thing to thing because it makes you rich. It's like this thing over here where they show this, where them living in there, but you have Code Pink, Ilhan Omar's daughter, I believe it is, and Hassan saying, look how great communism works. They've seen, like on video, he's talking about AT&T cut out my internet. People died on ventilators. There's power outages everywhere. But that's okay. Communism's working because the elites, the political elites are able to get 5-star hotels. We're able to get internet back. We're doing fine. I'm gonna be here for 3 days. We paint a mural, go back home. Sad to say, it's a great grift while it lasts. Because you see this over here. What is it? Greta Thunberg. She's now. Is she in Cuba? She went from climate action to supporting Hamas, to supporting the Ayatollahs of Iran, to supporting communists in Cuba to stay relevant. Like, this is just the thing. It's like not about climate, not about oil. Actually, kind of about oil with Cuba now. No, not Cuba. With Iran. Moving from thing to thing to thing. Not because they actually have values and they want to protect people. It's because they can become rich based on their ability to shame idiots that are too stupid to say, wait a minute. Hassan? Like I gotta pull this up now. These people think we gotta listen to these leaders because they're so more virtuous and they know more about what's going on in the world. Meanwhile, you got this guy. He's over there. Like, I pulled it up. People are doing the research, but I actually had to do the research for myself. Motherfucker going to Cuba wearing a $700 silk shirt. This is the cheapest Apple Watch. I'm sure he has a more expensive, but $250 for an Apple Watch. The Cartier nail ring, again, it might be a fake, but just for the sake of argument, it's the real one. $1,500. Some ugly-ass cargo pants that's built for a teenager. Cotton Ventile twill flight pant for $500. This it zoomed in, you know it's a Cartier sunglasses, just judging by all the things there. $1,300, but since it's a tinted glasses, and also you can tell that there's a curvature there, so these are prescription lenses, it's probably another $600. The hat, $30. This guy going out there with at least a $5,000 outfit to tell them, hey, poor people, I know you don't got stable internet. I know you don't have electricity. I know a whole bunch of people probably died while being on ventilators, so you could attribute power to our propaganda tour or our shitty rap concert and our hotels. Here's my $5,000 fit. Here's why capitalism is evil. It's like the villain in every comic book doesn't know they're the villain. The sad part is I don't think he's an idiot. I actually think he's very smart. I just think he's just on the grift, and it's like, yeah, if this is true about this guy, where his net worth went up 7,000%, it's no different than this. I think it's not stupidity, it's actual evil. But the funny part is, Asmongold correctly calls it out. It's like, why is it always? He says it's the whitest people. It's like it's always the liberals that do this. It's never the Cubans coming out. Like we'll pull it up right after. The Cubans going out there to actually expose what's happening over there. No, it's always the well-to-do liberals saying, hey, other well-to-do liberals, you're not doing enough. Here's why I am holier than thou.
The ruins like it's some kind of safari, singing some bullshit, and then lecturing locals about evil American capitalism.
Yes. Yes. It is $5,000 outfit.
Oh, jeez. Is this embarrassing?
Yes.
I got. This is just sad, bro. The whitest people. I know. It's always the whitest people, isn't it?
And the same thing in the protest over here. Like, why is it after they started looking into the funding of these riots in LA? Who was funding? It's probably the taxpayer. It's probably me and you. But after they looked into the funding of it, it's only like old white liberals at these movements now. Very interesting.
Man, it's so pathetic. Look how happy they are with themselves. Of course they're happy. Get ready for this. This is just, bro.
We saw this.
Oh my It's so fucking. It's look at this. It's so sad.
It's like they're flying private. I'm sure all these people were like climate activists 2 years ago, and now they have no problem flying private or in a privately chartered plane to go to Cuba so they can get some social media points.
Oh my god. There it is. Or so they say. This is so sad, isn't it? Hey guys, we're just like you. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let Cuba live, but okay. So they're there making these little social media moments. They're, on their plane, they're painting murals. Like, I just want to show you guys the mural real quick because it was so ridiculous. Are these champagne socialists really taking some...
I am hoping to leave a gift and vision of humanidad. This is the mural for humanity, and it's going to have little boats with notes in it of love. I didn't offer you that job. Thank you. But did you see how I volunteered?
It's funny. He's talking about, it's this thing about community and union, and then you have the activist in the background. I didn't offer you that job. No, you said this. It's like, hear him in the background, and they had to cut away because there's interior meltdown in this movement. I'm more progressive and woke than you. No, I'm more progressive and woke than you.
Notes in it of love.
I didn't offer you that job.
Thank you. But did you see how I volunteered? I was like to the bird on the other side.
No, look over there. Look over there.
Fishes and sea life here, and it's from a poem.
From artists. We have a poem to teach you guys about why you're suffering. It's sad. So you had this is that guy Gustavo Cardenas. I think he's the same person that exposed them for throwing out food at the kids. But he's saying, translated, young streamer travels to Cuba by posing as one of the communist flotilla and began recording the truth of what's actually happening on the island. So, we'll see.
I flew to Cuba during a nationwide power blackout and amidst talks of the United States taking it over, because I want to see the side of the country the rest of the world doesn't get to see.
Which is good. This is real journalism.
Yesterday I learned that it's common for buildings to collapse suddenly because of improper upkeep.
Infrastructure's terrible. And again, just like this is a meme, but it's like, it's pretty much exactly what we're saying. Hey, we're at the 5-star hotel. We were partying it up at a bar with Kneecap and some other guy. Let's ignore this right here.
And today, I'm going to see what it looks like when somebody has no other option but to call one of these abandoned buildings their home. On our way, a lady invited us inside of an old building. She's a teacher.
And it's crazy because Hassan easily could have taken... There's really no market where you could say, hey, here's my Apple Watch, sell it. And it's like, well, there's nobody buying it over there. But it's like, he easily could have said, you know what? Let me just go to H&M. Let me go to Uniqlo. Buy a cheap fit, and whatever money I was going to use on, not necessarily the glasses, you need the glasses, but what I need for this shirt and this pants, I'm just going to hand out that cash. Not with my camera, not on stream, not for content. I don't need to look good while on camera while doing this goodwill. Just going out there and actually going to the slums, no internet, and saying, I'm about that business. I don't want suffering. America's doing bad things, so let me help out the little guy. Or did he go there to look fresh, to post on social media, to get his points of saying, essentially what that girl was saying, oh, I'm better than you. If you're a leftist and you're not doing what I do, I saw them with my own eyes. Look at this picture I have of me in my fresh fit. You're not as good as me. You're not as pure as me. No, do something like this.
This is a first grade classroom.
At first glance, everything seemed normal, until we saw what was being taught. Everything pointed back to the same place, the same people, the same ideas.
Yikes. You know what? And the thing is, she's probably doing this for her own safety. I kind of don't blame the teacher for teaching all these values, because I imagine if you don't teach those values, you are in danger.
We saw the same thing again later. Bookstores, libraries, shelf after shelf, telling one version of the story. Even fiction books must take place in communist or socialist worlds. We thought this was very odd. Eventually, we found this skeleton of a building, completely fallen in on itself.
It's like everything they accuse America of doing. America has banned books. Like, I like the bookstore. I like the workers at the bookstore. But I think the local bookstore I have structurally is regarded. They have this section of the banned books. They're not banned books if they're here. They're not banned books if they're in the school library too. Also, the banned books that we should have are in those school libraries, and I'm talking about having adult content in like schools that aren't the grade level they should be in. They're complaining about that type of banning, but they're not complaining about, oh, Cuba does it right, even though you can't speak out against the government. I don't like what Hassan says about the US, but I think that his right to say it is very, very important. This is insane that they can go to Cuba and say, this is a good thing, this is a good thing.
And is a part of one of the 9 families that live in the ruins of this building that once housed just one. His space is modest, just enough room for him and his wife, who's been sick for a month with a cough. Of course, there was no electricity.
He was explaining to me that every time it rains, water seeps through and pools on the floor.
There's a certain sense of beauty in this community, one that's shadowed by commiseration. And in my government.
Like, you're not allowed to complain. Sorry. No complaining.
Yeah. He saw the real Cuba, talked about it, and, you know, the drawbacks of the Communist Party. What happens when the infrastructure is based on supporting certain parts of the country and not other parts of the country? Because what they're saying right now is communism is supposed to be everybody's equal, but there's a large amount of disparity in that country. So maybe socialism doesn't work exactly how they think it is. Communism just enriches, like, they want to get rid of the upper class and the lower class because capitalism does that. There's like, they just want everybody to be equal. But all communism and socialism appears to do is get rid of the middle class. You still have abject poverty, and you have few rich people on top, just like you have in communism, except there's no upward mobility. They keep on saying, oh, we're gonna fix this other country. Why aren't we more like Cuba or something? But it's always hollow because they don't care about the actual movement. They don't care about communism. They care about being able to grift on these virtues, enrich themselves, browbeat everybody else that doesn't give them money so they can look fly while doing it because, like I think, what's the word? The bourgeoisie, they want to be the wealthy elite, and if they kiss the feet of the political party that's in power, they can ascend to that part of the party. It's sad.
Operation Epic Fury.
Some new breaking news out of Operation Epic Fury. After launching devastating attacks against Iran's nuclear facilities, our commander-in-chief has announced a 5-day pause, but here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. It's not weakness. This is the art of the deal in action on the world stage. See, Trump, he says productive conversations are happening behind closed doors. But is Iran really coming to the table, or are they just playing usual games? Now here's the question that everybody should be asking. What's really happening during these 5 days? I'm going to tell you why this matters to you and your family right now. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has been at war with America. They funded terrorists who've killed our soldiers. They've chanted death to America in their streets. And just weeks ago, they were caught red-handed lying about not having long-range missiles, missiles that can now reach most of Europe. This is not just some distant conflict, folks. This is about whether your children, your grandchildren, inherit a world where terrorist regimes have nuclear weapons pointed at Western civilization. Gas prices, national security, the safety of our allies in Israel, it all hangs in the balance. President Trump understands what's at stake. He's the only leader willing to put maximum pressure on these terrorists while still offering them an off-ramp. But make no mistake, if Iran doesn't take this opportunity, the full might of American military power is locked and loaded. This 5-day window could determine whether we see peace through strength or whether the mullahs force our hand. And speaking of protecting what matters most, there is another threat you need to be prepared for right now. New numbers out of Washington show that inflation's on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. So ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even last year? With global tensions rising and uncertainty in the Middle East, what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. You see, gold's kept up with inflation and in many periods has outpaced it significantly. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it easy to protect your wealth with physical precious metals, and right now they're offering Next News viewers a free 10th ounce American Gold Eagle with qualifying purchases. Don't wait for the next crisis to protect your family's future. Go to nextnewsgold.com today and take control of your financial security. Now let's get back to what's really happening with Iran and the strategic moves that President Trump is making. See, here's what the talking heads aren't telling you about this 5-day pause. Military analysts are pointing out something fascinating. 5 days is exactly how long it takes for thousands of U.S. Marines to arrive in the region. Coincidence? There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C. See, President Trump announced this before the markets opened. Stocks went up, oil prices went down. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And former Trump envoys are already laying out the strategic options, including taking control of Karg Island and the Strait of Hormuz. What is this called? This is called peace through strength. Let's dive into it. President Trump announcing huge progress towards peace with Iran. All U.S. strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure are officially postponed for 5 days, pending success of the ongoing meetings and discussions.
To report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East, based on the tenor and tone of these detailed and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week. I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for 5 days, for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions.
So Pezeshkian, the president, has urged India to be an arbiter between us and them, because
the president
India's saying, hey, can I use the strait? And there was a report yesterday, yeah, you can use the strait for $2 million. That's not good. You cannot, no, by the end of this conflict, Iran can no longer have control of that strait. So whatever that needs to be done, that's got to be truly international waters.
Yep, I believe they need to be stripped of control of that strait. President Trump's strategic pause in military action leaves us wondering if there's more than meets the eye. But as we learn, the timing of troops' arrival could tell a very different story. A reporter now pointing out that Trump's 5-day pause in the war is the exact amount of time it takes for thousands of U.S. Marines to arrive in the region in Iran. He'll probably attack after the markets close on Friday. Listen to this.
And these talks led Trump to announce a 5-day pause in attacks on Iranian energy infrastructure. That just happens to be about the amount of time it takes for thousands of Marines to arrive in that area. Whether that's a coincidence or not is not clear. Trump made this announcement before the markets opened. So stocks went up and oil prices went down. That achieved one goal of his. So he might be sincere. There is speculation that he might be backing down from his threat to attack Iran's energy infrastructure, that he was just trying to calm markets. Or it could simply be strategic ambiguity, an effort to keep Iran off its balance as to what the U.S. endgame is.
Oh, think about the timing, right? 5 days, the Marines will be there. Well, Trump's pause holds the spotlight. Others are advocating a more boots-on-the-ground approach, suggesting a historic military strategy in the Strait of Hormuz. Former special envoy to Ukraine on Fox and Friends. Listen.
I'm a big believer in putting boots on the ground, not necessarily into Iran, but taking Karg Island and also taking the Strait of Hormuz. Look, we kind of need to do it the way the Romans used to do it. You need to put your legions on the ground to secure the territory and give them confidence that they can do it, that we can open up the strait. Look, I know there's risk involved. There's always risk involved, but those kids, those young men and women, they understand the risk involved on taking both Karg and opening up the Strait of Hormuz as well. So they've got the ability to do it. The amphibious ready groups of the Marines, they can open up the lower half of the strait, do it. And then I'd turn around to maybe the 82nd Airborne Division or Rangers or somebody like that to take Karg Island. I would be able to control basically the oil outflow of Iran. And then when you start talking to Galibov, who's the name that you hear being mentioned, who's the Speaker of the House of Iran, that gives them more leverage to do it. You basically cut off their economic lifeline. You know, President Trump saw that in 1988 when he mentioned he should take Carg Island. And he's the only president that's had the guts to be able to launch forces into the Gulf region to take control of that.
Special envoy to Ukraine right there. Remarkable video of all those strikes. The call for decisive action echoes louder as Senator Ted Cruz weighs in, adamantly insisting on a regime change to stop Iran's long-standing aggression against America. Let's go to Ted Cruz. He says, I don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to the next leader of Iran. I just don't want it to be an Islamist who wants to murder Americans. Sounds like common sense.
Look, I think the outcome that we should insist upon is collapse of this regime. I don't have a dog in the fight of who the next leader of Iran is. I just want it not to be an Islamist who wants to murder us. Understand, the reason President Trump launched this attack is because Iran has been killing Americans for 47 years. They have been funding terrorists, murdering Americans year after year after year. And I got to say, when the Ayatollah said, death to America, I believe him. I don't think those were empty words, and President Trump believed him as well.
Well, that's what they've been chanting, death to America. Senator Cruz's stance is clear, but over on CNN, Scott Jennings takes it further, highlighting the deceit and continuous threat that's posed by the Iranian regime. Bill Mitchell posting, Justin, why do the mullahs think they can lie straight to President Trump's face? Well, Scott Jennings nailing it on CNN. These are the worst people on earth. They've been at war with America for 47 years.
It would be fine with me if we continue to bomb them. These are the worst people in the world. They've been at war with us for 47 years. They want nuclear weapons. By the way, the reason that they're saying there are no talks while the president is saying there are is because they lie all the time. They sent their people out in February to say, oh, we would never have long-range missiles. We have no plans. And then what do we find out this weekend? They got 4,000-kilometer range missiles that can reach most of Europe. They lie all the time. That's what the Iranians do. They're terrorists. They hate us. We're the great Satan. Israel's the little Satan. We could wipe them off the face of the earth and it would be fine with me. But if the president achieves no nuclear weapons, no ballistic missile program, and an end to the largest state sponsor of terror on the face of the earth, that'll be a good outcome. So I hope he gets it. I'm glad he's working towards a diplomatic solution. They say he might be talking to this Speaker of the Iranian parliament. I don't know how it works over there now because we killed so many of their top guys. Maybe the left hand doesn't know who the right hand's talking to.
They killed so many people, there's no one to communicate with. Okay, so listen. Here's the truth the establishment doesn't want you to understand. President Trump's not backing down. He's setting the table. Senator Ted Cruz said it perfectly. The outcome we should insist upon is the complete collapse of this terrorist regime, not some weak Obama-style deal where we send pallets of cash and hope they behave. Real, lasting change. The Ayatollah said death to America, and President Trump believes him. See, that's the difference between this administration and the previous failures. Trump knows that these are the worst people on earth. They've lied about missiles. They've funded Hamas and Hezbollah. They've killed Americans for nearly 5 decades. And this 5-day window is their last chance to avoid total devastation. So the mullahs might want to take this seriously. You see, what we're witnessing right now is exactly why America elected Donald Trump again. He's the only leader with the backbone to stand up to these terrorists while simultaneously offering them a path to peace. No weakness, no appeasement, just pure American strength and strategic brilliance. So the next few days will be critical. You can bet the mainstream media will try to spin this as chaos when it's actually calculated pressure. Now share this video with everybody you know because they need to hear the truth about what's really happening. And drop a comment below. Do you think Iran will take Trump's offer seriously or will they force his hand? Yes or no? I want to hear from you. Since you made it to the end of the video, a special gift, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's how we bypass the algorithm. That's how we make sure you get the news that you have watched this whole video for. you'll get a direct notification from me to your cell phone. All you have to do is text raw feed to 844-840-4963. And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop. You'll find a little shelf below with some gear. Show your support for America First journalism, and make sure you're subscribed. Turn on those notifications because this story is developing fast. I'm Gary Franchi for the Next News Network. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.
Today we're asking Californians here if they will vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028. He's making it very obvious that he's going to be making a run for presidency in 2028, and he just started up his own podcast. I believe that's going to be one of his main strategies to show people who he is for his upcoming run in 2028. Now let's go talk to some people here and see if they'll vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028. How you doing, ma'am? Having a good day? Would you vote for Gavin Newsom if you were to run for president? No. How have you seen the downfall of California these past 4 years or so?
It went down a lot, especially houses, everything went down.
Yeah, I mean, we're here right now. We got somebody passed out here on the ground, and you got other people, another person passed out on the ground right there as well. Is that just a normal thing to see downtown LA?
Back then, no. Right now, it's everywhere.
Thank you for what you do. Would you vote for Gavin Newsom as president?
Probably not. I don't think so.
I'm sorry, I'm not good for English.
Gavin Newsom, good or bad?
I think good.
Would you vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028 if he does make a run for it?
I would.
Really, and why so?
Gavin's done a lot of work, I think, with the state to make it a better state. I'm also very, very new to California.
What's some of your favorite things you've seen from him?
I've seen his efforts, which is of something that's pretty close to me, which is homelessness. So I've seen the efforts. I've been tracking that more specifically. I own a nonprofit, and so I think with the initiatives that's in place for that has been really, it works for me.
What kind of things is, because I mean there's a major homeless problem here in California, and it has around 30% of the entire United States homeless population here inside the state of California. What's California currently doing to combat the homeless crisis here?
There's a lot of organizations that are spending millions and millions of dollars, and a lot of the data points that I'm familiar with, that I can see, even from the city of LA and the county of LA rather, I can see some of those numbers. And so what I've seen is a lot of money is spent in actually funding a lot of programs to combat that. So I'm seeing a lot of halfway houses being set up. I'm seeing a lot of treatment centers coming up and are being funded for staffing and so on. The challenge is that the other side of it is that I do see that we're lacking a lot of staffing. So I like what I've seen him do here in California so far, but I'm not saying that's my vote for president just yet.
Gavin Newsom, good or bad? Probably bad, they say. They say probably bad.
I don't speak English.
Gavin Newsom, bien, mal.
Good.
Okay. Bueno. Gracias. How long have you been living here for?
For 38 years.
38 years. And do you think the governor, Gavin Newsom, is doing a good job with the state of California?
I think so, yes.
You think so, yes?
Yes.
Will you vote for him in 2028?
Yes.
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 And why would you want to vote for Gavin Newsom?
Because I like it. I like it. How it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
She loves how it works here. Thank you very much, ma'am. Have a good one. Your guys' governor, Gavin Newsom. He's making it pretty obvious he's going to make a run for it in 2028.
Okay.
Will you vote for him?
Probably not. Yeah.
Why not?
Just because how he's been handling stuff already, like, you know what I mean?
They've done a good job trying to get rid of
I know they've made a couple buildings and they got a couple people off the streets, but I don't think that all that money's going towards that.
And do you find it strange that Gavin Newsom is able to buy a $8 million home in California, in San Francisco Bay Area, with a salary of a governor?
Wow, that's great. I didn't know that.
$9 million.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Would you guys vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028?
I vote for him because he got me released from coming home from a life sentence.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, so he didn't hold me back. He didn't hold me back. He signed off saying I'm fit for society. So yes, I would vote for Gavin Newsom.
I would probably vote for Gavin Newsom too if I were you then. And what he do for you then, or like what were you locked up for? if you don't mind me asking?
I was locked up for murder, carjacking, and robbery.
How would you say the state of California is being ran right now? And would you vote for Gavin Newsom if he were to run for president in 2028?
No, I'm trying to get out of California.
How long you been living down here in LA for?
Like 3 months.
3 months? What do you think about it?
It's fucking horrible. I mean, I don't know what y'all. It's freaking horrible. It ain't like what you see on TV. It's a lot of property out here. It's a lot of crazies out here. It's already overpopulated. So if you think about moving here, just stay where you at. Yeah.
And what brought you to move down here in LA?
The propaganda, what I saw on TV and the movies and all that, and how I thought it was what it wasn't. I thought it was like Beverly Hills, everywhere not Beverly Hills.
Would you ever vote for Gavin Newsom to become president?
I wouldn't vote for Trump, but Gavin Newsom, nah, because what I heard, he lost LA he lost California a whole lot of money. We ain't talking about no hundreds of thousands. We're not talking about no hundreds of millions. We're talking about billions. We talking about fucking billions. Like, how do you inherit a state that's doing well up in the billions, and now they're doing well up under the billions? Hell no, that's like having Trump as a president. No, no, I wouldn't vote for him as president.
How much quicker were you able to get out of jail underneath Gavin Newsom?
Shit, immediately I filed my petition, and I was out 3 months later.
Really? And how long were you set to be in jail for?
I was already in 12 years.
And how much longer were you supposed to be?
I had another 2 years left.
And then you got out 2 years earlier underneath Gavin?
Absolutely, under new laws. Yep.
How many shoplifting occurrences do you think happen here on a daily?
Man, it's a
More
lot.
than 100?
More than 1,000, man.
And are police officers, like, what can the police officers really do if they do see somebody doing crack or cocaine on the streets?
Police, they can't really do nothing because it's like, I mean, they could take them to.
These people just shoplifted right there.
Yeah.
Look at, they got all the lighters and everything.
Yeah, bro. I'm pretty sure they probably just stole that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the police really can't do nothing. Like, cause if they catch somebody doing drugs, if they got some drugs, they can probably do something to them. But you know, if they don't catch them with a lot of drugs, they can't do nothing. So if it's just something enough for them to smoke, you know, they basically cool, bro. So. And it's crazy, bro. The police actually, they got some type of little company, bro. They come down here and give them like stuff to smoke, like pipes, all type of shit, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, the police, the government will literally fund other organizations, nonprofits, to give them enough money so they can buy syringes, the pipes, the foil, and the like elastic band, so they can continue to do drugs. But then on top of that, they'll give them that bag, right, of the needles and everything, and they're like, okay, and then just in case you overdose, we'll give you a Narcan, so you can bring yourself back to life. So it's like very counterintuitive. Like, okay, here's everything, and then for you to kill yourself, but then here's this to revive you once you're about to die. And would you ever vote for Gavin Newsom as president?
No, I don't like him. I don't like that guy.
A lot of people call him New Scum.
Oh man, that guy right there, bad news right there.
Nick Shirley, how long you guys been living in LA for? Whole life? It's Nick Shirley on YouTube. And would you vote for Gavin Newsom to become the president?
Fuck no.
Why not?
Look at this shit.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not for him either. We're on the same team here. But well, Gavin Newsom, he's making it pretty obvious that he's going to make a run for it in 2028.
Good luck.
Why would you not vote for Gavin Newsom?
No comment.
No comment. How have you seen the state churn since he's been in?
It's real bad.
Would you vote for Gavin Newsom as president? For president?
Trump.
Trump. Yeah. You like Trump?
Yeah, fuck with Trump.
Right now we're doing a live stream. We're talking to people because Gavin Newsom's making it pretty obvious that he's going to make a run for it in 2028.
Would you serious?
Would you vote for him?
No, I have a very strong opinion about him, to be honest.
Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, speaking about the waste on the ground, there was lots of money that was designated that he was supposed to use to help clean up the streets, help, clean up the encampments. I'm sure you've come across lots of tents and lots of homeless people, and that may make the city even more dirty. And, we designated lots of money, and he was supposed to, where did that go?
Yeah, nobody really knows.
Where did that go? I don't know. So,
30, whether it's 20 billion or 30 billion.
Yeah, I heard
that's a lot of billions.
But yeah, who knows? That's and that was years ago. So, and then I heard he was running, and I'm like, what? okay, well, I guess we'll just not talk about the missing money that
No.
was probably embezzled.
Yeah, and did you see that recently? He had Charlie Kirk on his podcast, and well, he started a podcast, which was kind of strange. Like, he's governor, shouldn't he be worrying about his own state rather than
I
running
guess
a podcast?
he's an influencer now.
Yeah, now he's an influencer. When I become governor, I'll probably have my own podcast, so I'm gonna eat my words right there. But
Absolutely.
would you vote for me as governor of Utah?
Governor of Utah.
Yeah, if you came to Utah, you could come vote for me. Would you vote for me in like 8 years?
Yeah, I would vote for you.
I think I'd do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And so Gavin Newsom, he starts his podcast. He should be running the state, but he's pretty worried about getting this podcast up and going for these next 4 years. How do you think people could justify voting for Gavin Newsom as president when he has literally caused the 5th largest economy in the world to have like an exodus of at least 500,000 people leaving his state, and major companies like Oracle and Tesla have left as well? Why do you think anyone would think, okay, it'd be a good idea to vote for Gavin Newsom? Like, where does like the love come? Like, where do people like love Gavin Newsom? Yeah.
I feel like the only times I've seen him being a charitable person would be like when he schedules those like those encampment cleanups, and the TV reporters would be there recording him clean up, and it's like, oh, he's such a generous person for the TV, so we can all see that, like. So it's kind of just like maybe people who see that and are like, oh, he's such a kind person, and don't think, oh, he's just acting this way because elections are coming up and he wants to look good for the people. And I'm sure there's tons of people who see that and are like, oh, he's so genuine, he cares, and he's out there with his hands, getting dirty and cleaning up. And I'm sure there's a handful of people who live here and are like, oh, thank you so much, you're a hero. So yeah, I'm sure people believe that.
Yeah, would you vote for Gavin Newsom if you were to run for president in 2028?
I would.
You would, and why so?
Because, I mean, he's been having things run smooth so far, so it's like, you don't change a good thing.
How do you feel about your guys' governor, Gavin Newsom?
I like him. He's a talented politician, I think.
Yeah. I guess he is a pretty talented politician. He's been around for quite some time.
Yeah, he's bright. He's good on his feet. Speaks well. I like him.
Think he's trustworthy?
Yeah.
We're going to end the live stream right here. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Next news, breaking news.
Buckle up, folks, because Chuck Schumer just stood in front of the cameras and told the American people that ICE agents would only make airport chaos worse. He said nobody trusts them, that trouble follows everywhere they go. Well, folks, the results are in from airports across America, and the footage is absolutely devastating for Chuck Schumer's narrative. We're talking empty security lines, travelers praising the agents, and reporters literally stunned at what they're seeing. The Democrats bet everything on this being a disaster for Trump. They refused to fund DHS, hoping Americans would suffer. But what happened next? Well, President Trump outmaneuvered them again. And now they're scrambling to explain why everything they predicted was completely and embarrassingly wrong. Now, here's why this matters for you and your family. If you've flown anywhere in the last few weeks, then you know the nightmare. Hours-long security lines, missed flights, stressed out TSA workers pulling double shifts because Democrats in Congress refused to fund the Department of Homeland Security. No, this was not an accident, folks. This was a calculated strategy by Schumer and his allies to create misery at American airports and then blame President Trump. They wanted you to suffer so they could score political points. Think about that. Grandparents missing their grandchildren's birthdays, business travelers losing deals, families starting vacations angry and exhausted, all because Democrats thought your suffering would hurt the president. But President Donald J. Trump saw right through their scheme. Instead of letting Americans continue to suffer, He deployed ICE agents to assist TSA and ease the burden. And now the Democrats are freaking out because their entire strategy just blew up in their faces. Well, and the American people can see the results with their own eyes. And I'm going to show it to you. Speaking of protecting what matters most to you and your family, I'm going to ask you something very important right now. New numbers out of Washington show that inflation's on the rise again. It's another threat to your savings and to you and your retirement. So ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even last year? Well, Democrats play games with your airport experience. They're also playing games with your financial future. So what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Because gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods has outperformed other assets when uncertainty rules the day. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. And right now, go to nextnewsgold.com. It's linked below, and you'll receive a free 10th ounce American Gold Eagle with qualifying purchases. Don't let the chaos in Washington erode everything you've worked for. Visit nextnewsgold.com. Now, I'm going to show you just how badly the Democrat narrative is collapsing in real time. This is what the mainstream media does not want you to see. We'll show it to you here at the Next News Network. See, while Schumer and Booker were screaming about chaos and cruelty, actual reporters on the ground were witnessing something completely different. Well, we've got footage from Atlanta showing almost no lines at the checkpoint. We got a Philadelphia reporter literally standing in an empty security line saying yesterday it stretched to the garage. And that so-called ICE scandal at San Francisco airport, it fell apart in less than 24 hours when we learned the woman had a deportation order signed by a judge and tried to flee. So let's take a look at what's really happening, shall we? It's an unbelievable difference at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport after President Trump deployed ICE to assist TSA amid the Democrat shutdown. CNN.
Well, there may be a celebration here at the airport before it's all said and done, especially for the folks who've been working nonstop, extra shifts. If you look right here, you can see this is the main checkpoint. Almost no lines, no waiting, Sarah. And it's unbelievable at this point. This morning started briskly with a lot of people showing up here at the airport. Lines were long. People were waiting about an hour. But when that rush hour went away pretty quickly this morning, we ended up with this. And there seems to be more lines open than normal right now with the TSA workers here breezing people through. In fact, a lot of folks have been showing up shocked at how short the lines are. Take a listen to some of the folks we talked to this morning.
I don't see how extra security could be bad, you know. I mean, they're going to help out and, you know, make things move a little faster. But whether they're doing that or not, we don't know. But extra security is always good to me.
I mean, you think it's not going to be that bad, but then you get here and, you know, you think, oh, man, it really is as bad as they say it is.
So there's a bit of a mix here. So when people were showing up and going right into the TSA pre-check line, a lot of them weren't even checking the main checkpoint line. That line has been open and moving pretty quickly. Some folks just get so used to going to the line they go to, they didn't even check to see what that's like. We've also seen those ICE agents moving through today. A lot of folks are saying they're very pleasant. Look, they're not wearing masks. In fact, on this line right here, you can see two of them standing behind the TSA agents. I'm not sure we can get a complete focus on that, but just wanted to show you that they've been walking around the perimeter. Atlanta police have also been added to this equation in terms of showing up extra patrols. But the story right now, Sarah, quite honestly, is the fact that the lines have disappeared. We haven't seen this like in a week. So this is good news. If you have a flight to catch, you should know that you can probably maybe take a deep breath. At one point, this line stretched all the way down the hallway. This one is gone as well. So I guess we'll just give a thumbs up and smile a little bit, Sarah, and take a break.
CNN forced to report the win. As ICE helps streamline the chaos at Atlanta's airport, questions arise about any incidents with ICE agents causing disruption. Let's hear more about this unfolding narrative. Scott Jennings, every new ICE scandal falls apart faster than the last. Thank you, Internet. You never let me down.
Is there a single report today of something going awry with ICE agents?
Well, thank God for 24 hours something bad didn't happen.
Maybe there is.
There was an ICE agent refusing to identify himself, arresting a woman in an airport, freaking people out. They weren't even sure it was in San Francisco airport.
Well, what kind of an interaction was it, actually? Do you know the situation?
It was an arrest. I don't know, Scott. What information do you have?
Who did they arrest? Now, you're bringing it up. Who did they arrest?
No, I'm saying
internet. We'll need the internet.
Scott, two senior administrators.
Meanwhile, this woman was arrested by ICE Sunday at San Francisco's airport. DHS says she's from Guatemala, had a deportation order signed by a judge, and tried to flee as officers were deporting her. DHS saying the incident was unrelated to efforts to help TSA.
We reported on that yesterday. Funny how the truth has a way of getting out, right? While ICE presence allegedly caused turmoil, Cory Booker blames the administration for more chaos and cruelty. Oh, yes. Senator Cory Booker says ICE was deployed to cause chaos and cruelty. They put ICE in our airports to cause chaos.
No different than what we've been demanding. I know that they're calling this the Texas two-step. I prefer the Jersey, get the hell out of my way. They put ICE in our airports to cause more chaos and, frankly, cruelty to the passengers who are waiting in long lines. That's not where ICE belongs. We should have paid TSA weeks ago. Democrats have for 7 times tried to get them just to pay TSA, pay FEMA, pay the Coast Guard. We are fighting over ICE because they've been doing horrific, hellish things in our communities, slamming Americans to the pavement, barging and breaking down doors to American homes, pulling veterans out in their underwear and putting them in zip ties. So,
oh, and that's what's happening at the airports too, I guess, right? Bathroom Booker. His claims of chaos clash with reality. In Philly, empty lines contradict the narrative. What did Schumer predict? What do the numbers say? Schumer claimed ICE wouldn't improve airport lines, but Philly proves otherwise.
Everywhere ICE goes, trouble follows. We've seen that. And it is highly likely the airports will be no exception. No one trusts that ICE is going to make things better.
Once again, ICE agents have arrived here in Philadelphia, but I do want to point out, this is an empty line right now. We are standing in the middle where travelers come to check in for TSA. Yesterday, this was all the way back to the garage. So good news today, lines aren't too bad. We're live from PHL. Brianna Gallagher, Channel 6 Action News.
Chuck Schumer. Oh, the narrative collapses in real time. Shifting to the bigger picture, Trump exposes a fix while the left spreads fear-mongering lies. Let's dive into the solutions. Representative Wesley Hunt, press office. Dems refuse to fund DHS. Trump offers a solution to ease the situation. Now watch the reaction from the left. It's a fear-monger and spread lies about what's really happening.
On reopening the Homeland Security Department, they're now using the sight of ICE officers at airports to claim that agents could shoot travelers.
The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them.
We're not asking for the sun, the moon, and the stars.
Just pay them!
Trump wants this group of thugs that he can send to one city after another.
It's dangerous to have these armed agents who've already proven outside to be reckless and out of control now at our airports.
They're going to be interrogating people, dragging parents from their children, detaining them.
I feel, Greg, that the Democrats just fell into another trap.
Which trap is it, Dana? Enlighten me. I've been asleep most of the
We
week.
have the trap that President Trump put forward a solution. They're like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to hate it. But people are like, well, good. At least somebody's thinking of something.
Yeah, somebody's thinking of something, right? Oh, isn't it beautiful to watch the narrative collapse? See, this is the truth the establishment media will never tell you. President Trump didn't just solve an airport crisis. He exposed the entire Democrat strategy for what it is. Manufactured chaos designed to hurt the American people. They refused to fund DHS. They wanted those long lines. They needed you to be miserable so they could blame Trump. But President Trump called their bluff. He found a solution, deployed the resources, and within hours, the lines disappeared. And what's the Democrat response? Cory Booker screaming that ICE agents are going to brutalize and kill travelers. Maxine Waters claiming armed agents will be interrogating families. This is what desperation looks like, my friends. They have nothing left but fear and lies. because the American people can see the truth with their own eyes. So let me leave you with this. Every single time the Democrats predict disaster under President Trump, the exact opposite happens. They said the border would never be secured. Well, it's being secured. They said the economy would collapse. Well, it's thriving. And now they said ICE would cause airport chaos. Instead, we're seeing the shortest lines in weeks. This is what America First leadership looks like. Results over rhetoric, action over excuses. Well, Democrats play political games. President Trump keeps racking up the wins for the American people. So I want to know what you think. Are you surprised the Democrats' airport predictions were completely wrong? Drop a yes or no in the comments. And since you made it to the end of the video, I know you are the one of the few who actually care about the truth. You watch the whole thing. And I want to make sure you get the truth when you want it. Not when the algorithm decides to or when the notifications fail you. Text raw feed to 844-840-4963. Get the direct message from me to your phone. That's how we win, folks. And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop right below this video. Show your support for independent, truthful journalism. Pick out something you like. And share this video with everybody who needs to see the Democrats exposed. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss another report. I'm Gary Franchi for the Next News Network. And remember, folks, stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.
Can you believe this? This single process can put millions of precision polishing jobs out of work. Why? Because it cuts polishing costs to about 1/20th. What once took hours now takes minutes. One process quietly replaces an entire trade. It's called magnetic abrasive polishing. The idea is simple. Thousands of tiny steel pins are dropped into a container with rough parts. Flip the switch, and a strong magnetic field underneath sends those pins into motion, scrubbing every exposed surface. Give it 2 to 5 minutes, and the finish is already close to fine grinding. And this is where it really starts to show off. It doesn't care about shape. Complex channels, tight cavities, metal 3D printed parts, drop them in, and the pins handle it on their own. And the machine itself keeps that same no-nonsense attitude. Just add a simple side-to-side motion under the magnetic plate, and the results get even better. And the cost? Run it 10 hours a day, and it costs about $6. So here's the question. Do you like a process that's this simple, this fast, and this cheap?
Does it matter if you buy shredded cheese or grate it yourself? Pre-shredded cheese is convenient, but it's coated in an anti-caking agent, usually cellulose. Basically, it stops the cheese from clumping in the bag. If we run it underwater, you'll see the water turn cloudy, and that's the coating washing off along with some loose starch. So, when we eat pre-shredded cheese, we're also eating cellulose. It's not harmful, but it is indigestible. But when it comes to cooking, this is where it matters. If you're making something like a cheese sauce, that coating can get in the way. It keeps the cheese from fully melting and coming together, so your sauce ends up slightly chalky instead of smooth. Freshly grated melts clean, pre-shredded, not the same.
I think you guys tagged me like 30 times in Chris Powell's video over at Full Steam Designs, where he takes an Irwin quick clamp and puts it at the end of a Sawzall and shakes paint cans. Well, you know what I'm going to shake with it. Let's make some butter. For some reason, it doesn't fit in my rigid Sawzall, so we're going to use my Bosch corded. I think we better do this outside, just in case. Let's see how well this works. Oh yeah. Chris, you designed a beauty of a butter maker, man. This thing works great.
I think we've massively underestimated the number of criminal aliens in our country. We got a real problem in our nation, and here's why I think that. This is what the Atlanta airport looks like before ICE arrived. It was a 4-hour wait. And this is what the Atlanta airport looks like.
To be honest, this is decent, guys.
After ICE.
But to be honest,
and you can see the difference. It was cut down to about a 1-hour wait, which is still way too much. But what does this mean? Well, maybe some of the systems will run better with ICE in the airport, but also all of the criminal aliens who would be flying, all the people who have deportation orders or expired visas, people who may have criminal records that TSA doesn't check, they ain't flying. And this has now saved everything at Atlanta's airport. Now, I'm not the only one noticing that. CNN sent their airline correspondent to the airport. There's celebrations here in Atlanta. Almost no line, no waiting. Unbelievable, just because ICE showed up.
If you look right here, you can see this is the main checkpoint. Almost no lines, no waiting, Sarah. And it's unbelievable at this point. This morning started briskly with a lot of people showing up here at the airport. Lines were long. People were waiting about an hour. But when that rush hour went away pretty quickly this morning, we ended up with this. And there seems to be more lines open than normal right now with the TSA workers here breezing people through. In fact, a lot of folks have been showing up shocked at how short the lines are.
You can actually see the
take a
ICE
listen
agents
to some
there.
of the folks we talked to this morning.
I don't see how extra security could be bad, you know? I mean, they're going to help out and, you know, make things move a little faster, but whether they're doing that or not, we don't know. But extra security is always good to me.
Wait a second. So this dude, black guy in the Yankees hat is like, I like extra security. Okay. Life support for CNN there. Does anybody else find it strangely odd that wherever ICE goes, traffic disappears? You can make me think that there's way more illegals in this country than we could possibly imagine. You know, like, kind of begs the question, can we put ICE at hospitals? Can we put ICE at daycares in Minneapolis? Can we put ICE at the DMV line? Are they going to just fix everything? Is this the fix-all for all of society's woes? Yes, it is. Yeah. You know, like, they announced immigration, like, criminal alien crackdowns in Los Angeles and in Charlotte and other big metro areas. And what happens immediately is the roads, all of the traffic's gone. All of the traffic clears up. The vision of an America without 30 million or more criminal aliens is the vision of a paradise. Not exactly what our founders intended, but certainly so much closer to what our birthright is in this country, which is a functional and clean country, a more prosperous country, for sure, and a country that doesn't torture or terrorize its own citizens. It's just me, or wherever ICE goes, traffic disappears. That's right. So basically, ICE deploys somewhere, TSA lines plummet, traffic vanishes, ERs clear out, construction sites are ghost towns, class sizes shrink, and we're supposed to believe that there's only 11 million illegal aliens in the country. There's so many more. It's a celebration at this point, the airport. He says it's a celebration.
Well, there may be a celebration here at the airport.
He says it's a celebration live on CNN. Okay. 100 million illegal aliens in America might actually be a low estimate. Goodness gracious. Contrary to the narrative of the corporate media, many travelers and Houston's airport appear to be welcoming ICE's presence. Officers are handing out water and even holding spots in line so people can take bathroom breaks. What? So here's the ICE agents handing out water bottles to the passengers. It's actually a genius move in order to sort of change the narrative, right, with ICE. It's a brilliant PR move. ICE is actually bringing ice to the airport in water bottle fiction. So look at this. He's got ice, and what the ice is the water bottles. Yep, no problem. Okay. Unless, of course, you're the criminal alien.
Thank you.
Like, you like this. You know the only people that are bothered by ICE the airport? Unhappy, over-medicated, white liberal women, childless, living with their cats, die with their cats, eaten by their cats, and illegals. criminal illegals. Those are the only people that are bothered by this. I want ICE agents at airports. I want ICE agents at the polls. I want ICE agents at the emergency rooms. Send ICE agents to the emergency rooms immediately in the DMV or in emergency rooms. Wow. If ICE is this efficient at airports, imagine how efficient they'd be at polling places. America loves ICE. ICE delivery. ICE, ICE, baby. Forgive me for that, please. This is turning into great PR for Trump and ICE. It is actually. It's amazing how they flipped it around. So we're going to talk about the fact that the airport problems were apparently caused by clogging of massive illegal alien population. You know how it works, and I know a couple of city planners. I live here in Tampa Bay. There's a city planner that I know, and it's very important that cities try and build out infrastructure, the good ones, try and build out infrastructure for where the population is going. Now, luckily for a lot of blue cities, frankly, the population is completely collapsing. But in places like where I live, that's growing and robust and red, and I live in Florida, the cities have to plan out what you can measure out based on your citizens and the people that are on your books where the population is going to go, and they can map this stuff out. They can build extra roads, they can build extra homes, they can build higher buildings, they can build bigger pipes and water to carry to your house, so on and so forth, right? Fix the potholes. That's the point of the government. What they can't do with critical infrastructure is account for 100 million criminal aliens that aren't on the books, that flood in and clog up every DMV, every hospital bed, that destroy everything in this nation. Life is so much worse with criminal aliens here, and it's so much better without them. That's, of course, why Democrats are protesting having ICE at the airports, because they want to make life miserable for you. Here are Democrats, these are libtards at the Atlanta airport, screaming about how excited they are to make sure life is miserable for Americans. How much they paid? You know, it's like, how much they paid? None of these people believe any of this. None of these people. Not even that. Maybe this. But whatever the hell this is, maybe that's the only. But like the rest of them are just getting paid. All of them are getting paid. They're protesting to have better, cleaner airports. Could you imagine? ICE has completely cleared out the Florida airports. I can confirm TSA wait lines. The Atlanta airport have dropped dramatically, massive improvement. Trump really did it. Totally unreal. That before and after ICE footage. And people are just like being based. Hey.
Working without a paycheck, trying to help people. And they've got a job to do just like everybody else, and thank goodness for them.
Yep. This is a massive, massive white pill for people. Traveler in Cleveland, I have no problem with ICE being here. It's fine.
They need more people.
They need more people. Sure. You see ICE agents deployed, what goes through your mind? I mean, I like it.
When you see ICE agents, being deployed, what goes through your mind?
I like it. I mean, I think Trump's doing a hell of a job. I like it.
Most of the travelers we spoke with say while it's disappointing the current shutdown is having a negative impact on TSA staff, they're pleased to see ICE agents stepping in.
Libtards destroyed again. Should make this running series. Hit your web anyway, share and subscribe. See you.
Elon Musk copied New York City's idea from 150 years ago, but they forgot it was there for decades. In 2013, Elon Musk announced the Hyperloop, which were pods moving through low-pressure tubes at hundreds of miles per hour. But this wasn't futuristic at all. New York City had already built it back in 1869. This is when Manhattan streets were all in chaos and bottlenecked at Broadway. So Alfred Ely Beach designed a subway with a car inside a sealed tube pushed by compressed air, just like the core idea of the Hyperloop. But the most corrupt politician in American history, Boss Tweed, controlled NYC. And he blocked every subway proposal to protect his own investment in elevated railroads. So Beach lied and applied for permits to build a small mail tube under Broadway. But he secretly changed the plans to one large tube. So his crew dug only at night to hide their work until they could finally reveal it 58 days later. A 312-foot tunnel that used a fan the size of a small house to push a car down a block, and then reverse the spinning direction of the fan to suck the car back. And over the next year, the public loved it, with 400,000 people paying 25 cents to ride it. But Boss Tweed was furious, and he blocked the expansion, so the station was sealed and forgotten for 42 years. When in 1912, workers were excavating a new subway line and broke through a wall to find the tunnel and the car still intact.
When you say Cuba is next,
Cuba.
Will that look more like Iran or Venezuela?
Can't tell you that. I can tell you that they're talking to us. It's a failed nation. They have no money, they have no oil, they have no nothing.
So, as communist Cuba endures rolling blackouts and a lack of pretty much everything, their dictator has appeared at the negotiating table, likely out of fear, as the country's oppressed populace has now taken to the streets, ransacking the hallmarks of communism that represent the poverty they've known for half a century. Meanwhile, every time these despots look out their windows, they see U.S. warships surrounding their island. And experts say it's only a matter of days before they pack their bags and walk away.
Cuba is in the dark. The entire electrical grid collapsing today as the country struggles with an energy crisis, leaving millions on the island without power. It's been 3 months since a drop of oil has reached the country. Highways are empty because there's no gas.
The government is blaming the deteriorating conditions on the United States' fuel blockade on the island. President Trump has floated what he calls a friendly takeover of the island nation.
The bottom line is their economy doesn't work. It's a non-functional economy. It's an economy that has survived on subsidies from the Soviet Union and now from Venezuela. They don't get subsidies anymore, so they're in a lot of trouble.
Cuba is open to having a fluid commercial relationship with U.S. companies and also with Cubans residing in the United States.
We are asking the administration not to engage to stabilize economically the regime.
The Cuban regime is trying to buy time, as they always do.
But I think Cuba's seen the end. You know, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah.
You gotta understand something. Cuba is not like America, and when you see a headline like this, people protesting in a communist country and going after government buildings, this is unprecedented. And while the mainstream news is busy blaming Trump for all of this, nobody wants to admit that communist Cuba has never been able to stand on its own 2 feet or provide for its own people. This island regime has always been propped up by America's enemies, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, because their economic system, communism, does not work. Doesn't guarantee wealth, but it does generate and guarantee plenty of poverty and misery. And the only thing the dictators running this place have to export is their own corruption, which they traded to Venezuela in exchange for fuel, while allowing the Soviets and now the Russians to use their rock as a base from which to harass America, which up until recently made Cuba one of the linchpins in the regime's support system that kept all these dictatorships on their feet. But now with Venezuela and Iran's leaders on their way out, the writing is on the wall for this place, because without an external lifeline, the socialists running this prison island can't feed their own people or keep the lights on. But that brings us to the real reason. Even though things in Cuba now are a complete disaster, this island's best days are ahead of it, because the people that live here, for the last 50 years, they have had zero say in how things work, as their country's been stolen from them. They're not allowed to own property or build businesses, and like all communist regimes, nobody is free to leave Cuba. They're all locked in. In fact, if the people here were free to leave, they would escape as soon as possible, which is why the communists always have to lock the door. But on the other end of these power blackouts and the societal collapse of this place is an argument that the United States should have just normalized relations with Cuba, saving its people from what they're going through right now, which, as you're about to see, is an argument that is not based on reality.
Suffice it to say that the embargo is tied to political change on the island. The embargo is codified. And but the bottom line is their economy doesn't work. It's a non-functional economy. It's an economy that has survived. That revolution. It's not even a revolution. That thing they have has survived on subsidies from the Soviet Union and now from Venezuela. They don't get subsidies anymore, so they're in a lot of trouble. And the people in charge they don't know how to fix it. So they have to get new people in charge.
He's 100% right. This country has never been able to stand on its own 2 feet, and the economic problems this place is having were only a matter of time. They've always needed external support from other regimes, fuel from Venezuela, aid from the Soviets. And as an island dedicated to communist ideas, not only do they have to import everything, but since their people can't produce anything under this economic system, things here were always going to be stuck in the past, so to speak. But now the big question is, what does the near future hold for Cuba, especially if there's some sort of Trump takeover?
I sat down exclusively with Deputy Prime Minister Oscar Perez Oliva Fraga, considered by many to be Cuba's economic czar. His plan to attract more foreign investors, including large companies from the United States. He says Cuba is open to having a fluid commercial relationship with U.S. companies, with Cubans residing in the United States and their descendants. This person tells me it would be a breath of fresh air. And while there are people in the United States who legally do business with Cuba, Washington's trade embargo restricts many companies from doing authorized business there.
So, the regime's survival plan is to be part of Cuba's future somehow. Is anyone surprised about that? But there's another problem here. If companies want to come in and do business with Cuba now, and the current status quo remains in place, what exactly does that do? The United States has tried this before, and this regime that oppresses its people and brings them an economic system that does nothing for their future is still around. And thankfully, Cuban Americans who live here are not dumb enough to think that this is a good idea. They know exactly what appeasement of this regime will do.
Will not work.
Ramon Saul Sanchez, president of the Democracy Movement in Miami, did not hesitate to respond this Monday to the news coming from Havana that Cuba is open to having a fluid commercial relationship with U.S. companies and also with Cubans residing in the United States.
We are asking the administration not to engage to stabilize economically the regime by having business people from here go and do business with the regime in Cuba.
The Cuban regime is trying to buy time, as they always do.
That's their plan. Just like Iran, just like Maduro in Venezuela, this dictatorship wants to hang on as long as possible, so they're negotiating, they're offering unacceptable terms, and they're doing it to try and drag things out past the point where action might be taken to have them step down and leave power. That's the last thing any of these regime leaders want to do. No regime leader wants to give up their power. That's why regimes so far are 0-2 against Trump. But this is how it works. You know, let's do a little business together. Let's get the power back on. Let's secretly lock down our country from the inside and get rid of all of these rioters on the streets by appeasing them with a little electricity and a little water just so we can survive. And you know, the United States has tried this. We were told in the past that, oh, if we would just work with the Cubans, if we would just stop being so unreasonable, the world would be such a better place. Well, we tried that. And guess where we are today? Cuba's worse today than it was 10 years ago. It's way worse today than it was 100 years ago. This society is just moving backwards. That's the thing. Progressivism turns into socialism, which turns into communism. It all progresses in the wrong direction.
Over the weekend, Cubans took to the streets of Holguin, parading through the streets of the eastern village in darkness, accompanied by the sound of pots and pans. According to human rights organization Cubalex, it recorded 130 protests all over the island in March of 2026 alone.
Wow, that's crazy. You know, and you got to understand something. Cuba gets an F when it comes to human rights. This is not the United States, where you've got these rioters that destroy government buildings and nothing seems to happen to them. No, if you do that in Cuba, they have a place for you, and it's not a very nice place. This is a despotic regime that has governed its people in a very harsh way. And when people are on the streets there, you gotta understand, things are at rock bottom. just like they are in places like Iran. These are people that are protesting knowing that their activity against their own government could cost them dearly, but they're doing it anyways because they think this is the last chance there is to turn around a sinking ship. The Cuban government is at the weakest it's ever been. It doesn't have its regime support network. It's not getting fuel from Venezuela. It's not getting aid from the Soviets. It's not getting aid from the United States, for crying out loud, or appeasement from US presidents who want to see regimes stick around for some reason. So we understand that the current regime there cannot be part of the future. That would be a bad idea. But what future is out there that does not involve the regime? How does a communist prison island transform itself into a place that's prosperous for its own people? And what does Cuba offer?
Is next.
Cuba.
Is Cuba, whatever you do with the military there, it seems like something. Will that look more like Iran or Venezuela?
Can't tell you that. I can tell you that they're talking to us. It's a failed nation.
Mm-hmm.
They have no money. They have no oil. They have no nothing. They have nice land.
Oh.
They have nice landscape, you know. It's a beautiful island.
Yes.
I think they have great people. You know, I know so many people from Cuba that were treated terribly, and they're over here and they became rich. They're very entrepreneurial people, very smart. I know a lot from Florida, especially. So I think Cuba, you know, in its own way, if you know, tourism and everything else, it's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change. You know?
So you've got this island, which has been run by dictators who want to oppress their own people and want to export corruption in exchange for the bare minimum. But the island has a lot of great things going for it. It's full of very smart people who have an entrepreneurial spirit and have succeeded wildly 90 miles north of Cuba in Miami, where they do not have communism, where they have capitalism. So this island is ready to go. It's got everything it needs. It's got great land. It would be a tourist destination. If you opened up Cuba for the benefit of the Cuban people, the world would flood into this place. The economy would turn around overnight because it's stuck in the past 50 years ago. Everything there stopped the moment they embraced communism and decided to head down the path of destruction. But it wouldn't take long at all. And the other thing is Venezuela's ready to sell oil again to Cuba. It's just not oil that is going to directly prop up and benefit the Maduro regime. The only problem is we've got the Cuban government standing in the way of all of this. They're a communist government. They want to stick around. They don't want to give up their power. They've even got their own little succession plan in place, potentially, and they think that by offering Americans and American businesses the opportunity to give them money, which they're just going to take in some manner, which is just going to prop up their regime, is some great compromise, some great idea. But the shocking thing about all of this is this island has so many good things going for it. They just all require peace. And they all require freedom in order to be used. You see, you can't have a tourist industry if people are prisoners. You can't have a wonderful island where people want to go and visit if the place is run so poorly that it can't survive without a trickle of oil here and a Soviet missile base on it over there. Nobody's going to want to visit that place.
Without political change, you're not going to have any economic change or improvement to the situation for the people of Cuba. This government has run the economy right into the ground, and it doesn't work. Communism, socialism doesn't work in Cuba, doesn't work anywhere else either.
It's never worked.
A grid that shows
That's the problem. It's the wrong economic system. It's a system that only fails. It's a system that has never succeeded anywhere. And it's a system, notice this, there's never been a communist regime anywhere that has survived and endured the test of time for years and years and years, which was also a free society that allowed people to leave. Every single communist regime out there has had to lock the door. The Soviets locked the door. The Cubans locked the door. Every single one of these places has restrictions on where you can go because they know that people are going to flee that ship the second they get the chance to, because it just steals from people. It guarantees everybody equal levels of misery. And you know something? No amount of foreign investment is going to fix that. You can't invest in communism. How do you do that? Communism already forces everybody that lives in its country to invest in it by stealing all of their wealth, and that doesn't work. How is U.S. investment going to work? How is connecting the communist regime in Cuba to Americans going to do anything other than prop it up for a few more years? It's not going to bring prosperity over there. People don't have property rights. They can't own businesses. They can't start something that benefits their neighbors. And if they don't like any of that, they don't have the right to say anything.
Raul Guillermo Rodriguez Castro. And the Secretary of State, apparently, according to reporting, has been speaking with him. Do you think that he is potentially a person who could bring reform and a better relationship with the United States?
No.
Absolutely not. And by the way, the Secretary of State has not been talking to him. Those reports are incorrect.
Okay.
I've spoken to the Secretary of State, and he said no. The guy's name is El Cangrejo. That's what they know him in Cuba, and absolutely not. He is not. He's a Castro, and right now we don't need any more Castros in Cuba at all. Not.
Oh, that is 100% true. Now, look, if you bring in somebody like this and you let him run the country, where did he get his ideas? What system of government does he know? He grew up and benefited from a communist dictatorship. Of course, he's going to want that for the people of Cuba because it worked out pretty well for him. You need regime change in a place like this. This would be like saying that the Ayatollah's son could take over Iran. You're not going to get much of a difference in the way things happen there. Maybe a little difference, but not much. And if you bring in a guy like this, what happens in a few years when the president running America has a different view of regimes and wants to see regimes emboldened and appeased? What about then? What do you think they're gonna do? What's Cuba gonna be like? It's gonna keep going in the wrong direction. That's what's gonna happen. They're just gonna wait, and then the second they get their chance, boom.
Any more Castros in Cuba at all. And so we need a complete change in the leadership in Cuba. We need a political change in Cuba. All of that is really spelled out in Helms-Burton law, what the Cubans need to do in order for the embargo to be lifted. Now,
that's another part of this that's very important. So it's United States law that there has to be an embargo against the Cuban government because they oppress their own population, but that law also outlines exactly what the Cuban government has to do if they don't want the embargo. So all of this talk of, the U.S. and its awful embargo, they're just being so unfair to Cuba. No, there's nothing unfair about this. You've got a dictatorship which steals from its own people, takes away their rights, imprisons them. They're required to make some changes in order to do business with the United States. They don't want to make those changes. That's why we have this embargo. This is a law passed in 1996, and it defines what qualifies as a legitimate transition government, which is one that releases political prisoners, respects human rights, allows free speech and assembly, and moves towards free elections. And a democratically elected government is one that is chosen in free, fair, multi-party elections under international observation, which means that Fidel's grandnephew or whoever, he can't be part of this new system if this isn't what's going to happen. If he's just going to come in and bring in a new flavor of the same regime, that's not going to allow the U.S. to legally do business with Cuba. The embargo's going to stick. Furthermore, it mandates, this 1996 law, that the president develop and submit to Congress a plan for U.S. assistance to such a future Cuban government, which means Trump is going to have to step in and reorganize this place. You know he's going to get hammered for this. People are going to say Trump's a dictator, he's picking their leaders, when it's already 1996 law that was just mentioned here on Fox. So there's already a plan in place to save Cuba. There's already a plan in place to bring prosperity to this island. It just doesn't involve communism. It just doesn't involve dictators. It just doesn't involve regimes that have prisons full of political prisoners who've said the wrong thing.
We've never embargoed food or medicine or basic necessities. That's always been available to the Cuban
they can still get
people
medicine
and the Cuban
from
government.
us.
The problem is they don't have any money to pay for it because they've run the economy into the ground. And when you have that graph about the oil, that was all free oil from Venezuela in exchange for a security apparatus that kept Maduro in power.
That's another point that I don't think anyone's talking about. People love to say, if the United States would just stop being a bully, everything would be fine. This country does not have the resources to plug itself in to a world economy based on free trade. They were getting free oil in exchange for thugs that would go over to Venezuela and help Maduro keep his regime in power. This wasn't free trade. They can't afford real oil. They can't afford real medicine. They can't afford real food. They can't afford the stuff that we're so blessed to have access to in America because we are not cursed with communism. They can't afford any of that stuff. So normalizing relations with a communist regime that can't afford anything means that this communist regime stays the way it is. Nothing's going to improve for Cuba if you normalize relations and keep that same regime in place. Hopefully it happens quickly, because the issue here is that people on that island, they have been suffering for so long. Things have been terrible for so long. And these are folks who 90 miles away succeed wildly. Once they get out from under communism, people from Cuba, Cuban Americans, are no different than Cuban Cubans. Many of them fled Cuba recently. These are first-generation people, and the only difference between success in America and failure in Cuba is the economic system. The people are exactly the same, And the island of Cuba has so many great resources. It's a great little island. They're not in a hurricane zone. Tourists would love to go to a place like Cuba, full of nice, wonderful people that have their freedom back for the first time in decades. The world is ready to come in here. It just can't happen if Cuba's communist government wants to be part of that future. At least that's what I happen to think. What do you think? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
On March 19, 2026 at 11:49 a.m., a massive explosion shattered the afternoon calm at Tungali Economic and Technological Development Zone Industrial Park in Al-Aqsa League, Inner Mongolia. A huge yellow-black mushroom cloud rose high into the sky, obscuring the sun with thick smoke. The shockwave affected an area with a radius of over 20 kilometers. The scene resembled the aftermath of an explosion at an Iranian missile depot. The incident quickly drew nationwide attention. The company involved, Inner Mongolia Li Yuan Technology Co. Ltd., operates a nitrition workshop. Initial official reports confirmed 2 people missing, 3 injured, and 17 others with minor abrasions. Large amounts of yellow smoke were generated, and the main component was confirmed to be toxic nitrogen oxides. The explosion's shockwave caused severe damage. Video footage showed the factory and surrounding buildings in ruins. The roofs torn off and walls cracked. Inside the workshop, debris littered the area, and workers were injured. People fled in panic. Nearby cars had their windshields blown out, and the bodies severely deformed. Multiple businesses in the area reported damage to their windows and glass doors. One shopkeeper recalled that 6 bottles of Wu Liang Ye liquor were knocked off the shelves, and the ceiling also collapsed. Just 1 kilometer from the blast site, the owner of a smoke hotel, who identified himself using a pseudonym, Xiao Wujiang, recalled, "It was like a firecracker went off next to me. The glass door shattered instantly, and my mind went blank." A university student living over 10 kilometers away in Zhongwei City said, "The windows and walls shook. At first, I thought it was an earthquake." Residents 20 kilometers away also felt the tremor. Li Wu, a local resident, said, "The sound was like an explosion right in front of my window." The nearby Inner Mongolia Jinshi Magnesium Co. Ltd. confirmed that the site was quickly sealed off after the explosion, preventing ordinary citizens from approaching. 30 minutes after the blast, local police and fire teams arrived at the scene, warning that the gas was toxic and evacuating nearby residents. As of now, no open flames remain at the site, and secondary disasters have not occurred. The Tangali Industrial Park has been fully sealed, and all employees have been evacuated. As of 3 p.m. on March 19, media reports stated that the 17 people who sustained minor injuries were treated at the hospital and discharged. Following the official report, online criticism surged. Some netizens pointed out, "With such a huge explosion, how could only 2 people be missing? The cafeteria collapsed, and the factory hadn't even finished the workday. 2 missing people. Do you believe that? This is ridiculous. More like 20 people are missing, if not more," one comment read. "With that kind of shockwave, glass broke from 10 kilometers away. Imagine what it was like inside," another netizen wrote. Some speculated that the missing workers might have been in the cafeteria during lunchtime, but others responded, "The key point is that even the cafeteria's roof collapsed." A netizen from Inner Mongolia commented, 3 people lightly injured. The city hospital sent 6 buses. Initially, officials claimed that the smoke had dissipated and posed no significant harm. However, netizens responded, noting that people in Bayanhot, over 100 kilometers away, had started experiencing sore throats. Netizens criticized, "The officials can lie so blatantly, claiming that nitrogen dioxide and hydrochloric acid aren't dangerous. If people can smell it 100 kilometers away, the concentration must be much higher than they claim." According to reports from mainland media, local environmental authorities have intervened and are conducting cautious monitoring of air, soil, and water. According to available data, Inner Mongolia Li Yuan Technology Co. Ltd. was established in May 2014 with a registered capital of 300 million yuan and currently employs over 750 people. The company primarily engages in the research, production, and sales of fine chemical products, including hydrochloric acid, acetic acid, dyes, and pharmaceutical intermediates. The nitration workshop, where the explosion occurred, handles materials that are highly flammable and explosive, making it a high-risk chemical process under national regulation. The company had publicly announced at the end of 2025 that due to strong demand for reactive dyes in the downstream market, production orders were scheduled through April 2026 and production lines were running at full capacity. It is worth mentioning that in 2024 the company was fined 105,000 yuan by local safety supervision authorities for 25 safety violations, including the improper installation of safety equipment. On the same day as the explosion in Inner Mongolia, another massive fire erupted in Baoding City, Hebei Province, in the northern plains of China. Videos circulating online show that a severe fire broke out at Hebei Miwei Lubricants Technology Co., Ltd. Multiple angles of video footage reveal a large oil tank engulfed in flames, with thick black smoke rising into the sky, lighting up the night as though it were daylight. The fire at the oil storage facility was difficult to extinguish and posed a significant risk of a chain explosion. A netizen commented, "The oil depot exploded and now oil prices are going to rise again." Similar to the chemical plant explosion in Inner Mongolia, the fire at the Hebei oil depot was also downplayed in official reports. The public saw mostly generic fire safety, always on alert messages paired with footage on short video platforms like Douyin, but critical information about the cause of the fire, casualties, or environmental pollution was completely absent. This approach of showing only amateur footage while withholding official details has been sarcastically referred to as an immersive disaster experience with the right to explain held solely by the government. In fact, throughout late March, China has witnessed multiple severe explosions and fires within just a few days. Additionally, a netizen reported that at around 8 p.m. on March 19, an explosion and fire occurred at the factory of Yinke Medical in Shaozhuang Town, Qingzhou City, Shandong Province. Yinke Medical, known for its medical consumables during the pandemic, quickly became the focus of attention after the incident. Videos shared by a vlogger show the intense fire at the scene. However, despite the incident's growing attention, related information was swiftly deleted from domestic social media platforms, and there was almost no effective coverage in official media. This gagging approach has left the specific cause of the fire, the area affected, and especially the number of casualties, a mystery. The information vacuum has been rapidly filled with various speculations. One netizen commented, "Whether it's a natural disaster or man-made one, the first thing they do is cover it up. They can't solve the problem, and they can't solve the discovery of the problem by the public." Another comment pointed out that compared to last year, this year's control over similar negative incidents has become even stronger, leaving the public completely in the dark. As the world's factory, Dongguan in Guangdong has recently been plagued by a series of devastating fires. On the afternoon of March 21st, a massive fire broke out at Zhixing Footwear Co. Ltd. in Hojie Town, Dongguan. Videos from the scene show thick black smoke rising into the sky, engulfing the entire factory. The fire spread rapidly due to the large amount of flammable materials, including foam and adhesives, inside the factory. Within just 2 hours, this 30-year-old factory was reduced to rubble, with the iron sheet roof collapsing under the intense heat. As for the cause of the fire, some nearby workers speculated that the fire was caused by overloaded equipment working day and night to meet shipment deadlines. One netizen commented, "The factory uses cheap flammable materials like foam. Once it catches fire, it spreads fast. With plastic burning, the smoke is thick and black, with flames reaching the sky." Netizens lamented, "Zhixing, a 30-year-old factory, is gone. I wonder if the boss will rebuild." On the previous day, March 20th, another factory fire broke out in Nanjia Community, Humen Town, Dongguan. Reports suggest it was a rubber and plastic factory. Videos showed fierce flames and thick smoke rising into the sky, similar to the Dongguan fire. The two fires within just 2 days have caused severe losses for businesses and raised concerns about the safety of labor-intensive industries in the Pearl River Delta under current economic pressures. Local residents commented, "The boss is back to square one, maybe even facing jail time. It's tough to be a boss nowadays." These incidents are just a few among many, as a wave of explosions and fires hit several provinces in China throughout March. On March 20th, around 3:15 p.m., a fire broke out at a scrap recycling station next to a motor vehicle inspection station in Xilian Farm, Danzhou City, Hainan Province. The fire was intense, with thick black smoke rising into the sky. Large solar panels on the building were also damaged. Fortunately, no casualties were reported. On March 21st, a fire occurred at a factory in Jiangxi Province, with specific details still unknown. Also, on March 21st, a fire broke out at a hotel in Dazhou, Sichuan Province. Netizens have expressed concerns, noting the economic downturn and the challenges faced by business owners, lamenting that these fires represent the destruction of their hard work. The frequent occurrence of explosions and fires no longer seems like a coincidence, suggesting systemic issues behind these incidents. An analysis by a financial blogger has gained widespread agreement. He wrote, "A leaking roof and a storm. This must be due to the economic downturn and cost-cutting measures, leading to a sharp increase in accident rates. Amid the economic slowdown, companies are aggressively cutting costs to survive, and safety production, things which require ongoing investment but does not directly generate profits, becomes the first casualty. Aging equipment, lax supervision, and superficial training. All of these overlooked aspects become potential time bombs waiting to explode." The trigger for these disasters is not only the fragile production lines, but also the hearts of the people, who are on the brink of collapse. When malicious wage demands become the norm, workers pushed to the edge may resort to extreme forms of rebellion. On March 21st, workers in Yulin, Guangxi reported that their employer had withheld wages and taken equipment. Promises of wages from last year remained unfulfilled. This widespread despair is likely why the phrase malicious wage demands resonated so strongly in the Alexa explosion case. It struck a chord with the most painful nerve of this era. As fire rages across the country and people's safety and property are severely threatened, many are left to wonder, what is the government, which claims to be omnipotent, doing? What are those public servants who hold immense power doing? The answer is equally chilling and filled with irony. Alongside the disastrous news, another set of images is circulating. A street vendor concerned about the rain-soaking migrant workers who came to eat kindly opened a large umbrella. However, the warm moment was soon shattered. Several uniformed urban management officers arrived and unemotionally ordered the vendor to take down the umbrella. The vendor tried to argue, but to no avail. Eventually, the workers had no choice but to walk into the rain, holding their lunchboxes, squatting by the roadside, and swallowing their food mixed with cold rainwater. Another video from Guangxi shows several urban management officers enforcing the law by confiscating bundles of bed sheets from a roadside vendor. The vendor, a frail middle-aged woman, desperately clung to the last few sheets her entire livelihood. But the officers were unyielding, and together they forcibly took the sheets from her, throwing them onto the vehicle. Her desperate cries echoed on the cold street. These two videos, compared to the dramatic scenes of explosions and fires, may seem insignificant, but they reveal the same root cause: arrogance and cruelty of power. This power favors superiors, pressures subordinates, and when it comes to the public, shows no limits in its crushing force. Its sole purpose is not to serve the people, but to maintain stability and order, even at the cost of the dignity, livelihood, and lives of the people. Netizens' comments are filled with woe and anger. Look, they just don't want the people to be comfortable. They want to torment them. The only solution is to eliminate the Communist Party, claiming to put people first, yet their actions are pure annihilation. Why not let the workers eat their meals first before removing the umbrella? If the top leaders were under the umbrella, talking with migrant workers and understanding their situation, Would the urban management officers still have acted this way? With a little power, they use it all. No humanity or compassion left. This stark contrast of brutal repression internally and indecision externally ultimately points to the legitimacy crisis of the regime. When a government can no longer provide its people with basic security, when its grand narrative sharply contrasts with the people's lived experience, and when its iron fist is only aimed at powerless citizens, no matter how tall its buildings or how strong its military, its foundation has already decayed.
Speaking of subversive leftist communists that hate us and hate our country, a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is the Democrat communist dipshits that went to Cuba to basically flaunt how rich they are in front of the suffering and oppressed Cuban people under their communist dictatorship. Isn't it beautiful watching these pink-haired socialist nepo baby millionaires in their little fucking tour taking pictures of the downtrodden peasants in Cuba oppressed by their obviously evil dictatorship, their communist dictatorship? All right, we have to talk about what's going on in Cuba. It's one of the wildest shit shows I've ever seen in my entire life. Not even exaggerating, a little bit. This is easily one of the craziest things ever. I think this is a perfect amalgamation of all the virtue signaling bullshit ever, and everyone could see it. As I covered yesterday, there's an entire group of these multi-billionaire communist dipshit Gen Z retards that went to Cuba to basically tell the oppressed Cuban people being oppressed by their communist dictatorship that actually communism is good and capitalism is actually the really evil thing. This is kneecap. Kneecap is a band, all right? A retard band, quite literally, made of retards. Last time they were in the news, they were banned for literally supporting Hezbollah, a Lebanon terrorist organization that killed, hundreds of Americans, thousands of Lebanese, hundreds of Israelis, and also contributed to the murder of 650,000 people in Syria. Really fucking evil people, but they're woke, and by woke, that means they hate Jews. All right, it doesn't actually mean that they support gay people. They throw those guys off buildings, but they do hate Jews, which means, and they also hate America. So obviously, all these radical communists definitely love them. So kneecap, complete retards, they went to Cuba and said, "I can't remember the last time Cuba invaded a country. Can you?"
The Irish people were called terrorists for so long.
Some of them were terrorists.
Cubans were called terrorists.
Some of them were terrorists.
I can't remember the last time Cuba invaded a country.
Are you aware that Cuba invaded Israel in 1973? Did you know that there were Cuban tank units fighting in the Golan Heights? At least 180 Cuban soldiers were killed and 250 were wounded. Did you know that Cubans were literally in Venezuela guarding Maduro and stopping the United States from capturing him? They failed because they're dipshits, it seems. But were you not aware of that? Were you aware that Cuba was heavily involved in the Angola Civil War as proxy troops for the Soviets? So these dipshits go to Cuba knowing absolutely nothing about it and praising it under their absolutely fucking bullshit leftoid radical communist talking points. Well, Cuba doesn't invade people. Yes, they fucking did. Are you crazy? Like, dog, I'm no fan of Wikipedia, but Cuba invaded Panama, invaded the Dominican Republic. It started the Sand War in Venezuela and Machurucuto raid, Congo crisis, Guinea-Bissau War of Independence, First Yemenite War, 1973 Israeli War, armed resistance in Chile, conflicts in Angola, Ogaden War, Nicaraguan Revolution, United States invasion of Grenada, espionage in Venezuela, 1992 Venezuela coup d'etat attempt, activities in Venezuela. Are you kidding me? Like, these communist dumb fucks are probably getting paid by the Chinese Communist Party or George Soros's Open Hand Foundation to preach this shit. They have no idea what they're saying, and their audiences just eat it up because America bad. Did you not get the memo? America bad is the entire foreign policy of these guys. Now, this is the craziest part. People died because you morons threw a party and sucked up the electricity, right? Quite literally, hospitals had to shut down because the only place in the area of Cuba that they were in that had power was their 5-star hotel and their gay little concert. And after that happened, you know what they did? Bam. I'm in Cuba. I am witnessing American imperialism, murdering the Cuban people. We are are nothing but rich terrorists and soulless murderers. Viva Cuba. Account based in the United States. Yeah, nice attempt, I suppose, but that's where we're at. Well, this is really, really fucking gay. Code Pink, which is like a communist pro-Palestine group, flew artists to Cuba to leave behind a gift, a mural. Wow, look at this. Look how beautiful. Code Pink is saving Cuba from their crisis of being under communists' foot.
I am helping to leave a gift and vision of humanidad.
Wow, and look how they're wearing their little gay keffiyehs because Palestine is a thing or something.
This is the mural for humanity.
Wow, a humanity mural in Cuba. You realize they're literally starving because their communist regime actually fucking destroyed their entire economy and they don't have food or power.
And it's going to have little boats.
Wow, little boats. Like how all the Cubans are on little boats trying to escape from Cuba.
With notes in it of love, and the words will go across all the way to the bird on the other side.
Wow, they're gonna do a little gay blue shit on the wall for the Cubans.
Fishes and sea life here.
Cubans, if you ever get hungry, you can eat the pictures of fish.
From a poem with artists from all over the United States.
Wow, beautiful. So yeah, this is what they've been doing. They did like this gloriously cringe vacation in Cuba where they virtue signal that they're actually fantastic people and better than you. Trip to Cuba is everything I ever hoped for. We need food, aid, and a new government. Best we have is Hassan Piker and a mural. Yeah. So anyway, this is one of the wildest videos I think I've ever seen in my entire life. This is members of the Hassan Piker VIP flotilla throwing cookies at poor black Cuban kids to dance in front of them. They are treating them like monkeys in a zoo. All right? This is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that the content is this good. Like, I expected it to be bad, but I didn't think it would be this bad. All right? Well, those are the... That's disrespectful. Look at that. Man with a cookie in his hand. Making a little boy dance just to get the cookie. That's disrespectful. Taking advantage of Cuban poverty. That's what this whole trip is, bro. Wake up. Wake up. They are using it as their little gay props. That's exactly what's happening. So Taylor Lorenz, this is a journalist that used to work for the Washington Post until she got fired for being retarded. And it's honestly one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. If you're traveling to Cuba or any impoverished community, or just generally, you should be wearing a mask. We're 6 years into an ongoing pandemic, and airborne disease is real, no matter how many leftists want to scream and stomp their feet and shout the RFK talking points. No, you mean you went to Cuba? You went to Cuba and you didn't realize we're on season 7 of COVID? Oh my God. You are killing the little black people in Cuba. They've never mingled with the outside world. You don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm telling you, these people are fucking retarded. In the Big 26, we're still doing this, dude. Now, meanwhile, Cuba's entire electrical grid collapsed, plunging the entire country into a blackout.
And breaking news into CNN, Cuba's electrical grid has suffered a complete and total collapse. This is according to the country's power operator.
You mean to tell me that it's a communist dictatorship that literally couldn't fund its own self and it only survived because of oil that was pouring in from Venezuela, another communist dictatorship propped up by China, so that they could literally host terrorism in our hemisphere in Cuba, and now that we literally made Venezuela our bitch, now all of a sudden Cuba's collapsing because they can't actually fucking do anything themselves because it's communists, and communists fucking suck and destroy everything they touch and they're evil?
It's the first nationwide blackout since the U.S. effectively shut off the flow of oil.
Right on time for Hassan Piker and his little flotilla of gay faggots.
To Cuba.
Yeah, the faggot Avengers arrived and all of a sudden there's a blackout. Cuba is in fact free of electricity, some would say. Now, an angry Cuban man noticed something diabolical amid this blackout. This is a nationwide blackout, remember. Hospitals didn't have power. People were dying. But this luxury 5-star hotel that Hassan Piker and his cohort of retards were staying at literally had one floor with power. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Hassan was streaming. They literally didn't have hospitals with power, and people died so that they could use their spare electricity to give it to literally delegates from America to do a little gay propaganda campaign for the communist dictatorship. If this isn't the most diabolical shit you've ever seen, like, I don't even know what to say. So this is Hassan Piker. He went to an island where the annual pay of the citizen is less than 1/3 the cost of this shirt. All right, so he is wearing $1,300 glasses and an $800 shirt. All right, and he's going there to the pores. He's going to the pores. Now, this is pretty good stuff. First, he has to explain why he had no choice but to stay in a 5-star hotel.
I was saying, tourism is the lifeline for the Cuban economy as it stands currently.
Yeah.
The government has very limited resources.
Yeah.
And the American government makes it illegal for Americans to stay wherever they want when they're in Cuba.
Right.
They have to stay in what they've declared as 5-star hotels. Right?
Not that he's actually in a 5-star hotel. He's just in what the Americans call a 5-star hotel. Because that they force him to stay. He doesn't want to stay in the 5-star hotel. He doesn't want to stay in the resort, the only place that has electricity in the entire fucking country. He doesn't want to stay there. No. He has no choice.
I'm telling you all this because, like, even the 5-star hotels are not like, you know, it's not like, it's what the American government.
Right.
But regardless, hotels are not like, you know, it's not like, it's what the American government has declared 5-star hotels.
Right.
But regardless, in comparison to the situation on the island, it's prosperity pretty much. And
pretty much. Now, he got community noted. All right, dude, comedy has become tough in this era. I have no friends funnier than this. Community note, U.S. sanctions on Cuba restrict U.S. citizens from lodging and accommodation owned by the Cuban government or connected figures. You know, the communists that we're trying to topple. There are no limits on the quality. Quality is irrelevant. You picked a 5-star hotel because you wanted a 5-star hotel. Okay, let's understand this. Hassan lied to you, right? He's like, oh, I only stayed at a 5-star hotel because that's what the government lets me. Liar, all right? You're allowed to stay in whatever you want as long as it's not literally owned by the communist government. And here's the extra twist. So not only did he lie about the fact that he didn't need to stay at a 5-star hotel, but this reveal is going to be insane. Here's the real twist. By the way, Hassan also broke U.S. law. Oh, he could also face a $250,000 fine and up to 10 years in prison once he gets back to the States. Hey, FBI, get on it. The U.S. Department of State maintains a Cuba prohibited accommodations list with bans American travelers from staying at or paying for. Over 400 government-owned hotels, guest houses, and resorts. And the reason for this is you are literally funding a communist government that's hostile to the United States of America. It's treasonous, actually. So Hassan's response is, and this is amazing, yeah, the U.S. law is fucking stupid. Absolute cinema. I didn't break it, but this post is only the one I ironically acknowledges the comical U.S. restrictions on what U.S. citizens are allowed to do in Cuba. Yeah, it's literally a regime that's hostile to us that we're trying to destroy. No, we don't want our dumb fuck terrorist supporting Americans to actually prop it up, actually. That makes a lot of sense. The 5-star hotel is one of the few hotels the U.S. government allows Americans to legally stay at. Well, what if I told you that the Grand Hotel Bristol, which is where he's actually staying, often listed as the Grand Hotel Bristol Kempinski, is affiliated with the Kempinski Collections, is on the U.S. Department of State Cuba's prohibited accommodations list. As of the updated list, 2025-2026, U.S. travelers are prohibited from staying at this property. It turns out, not only did Hassan lie about the 5-star thing, and he could totally stay wherever he wants as long as it's not one of the blacklisted hotels, but he's also literally in a blacklisted hotel! In my opinion, this is literally treason. He could face a $250,000 fine and 10 years in prison for this. Literally funding an enemy nation. This is like actually diabolical. If this is how this guy fucking goes down, that's insane. Report Hassan Piker annoyed about nationwide blackout in Cuba as power remains at his resort. Yeah, hilarious. Fun fact, the whole dog shot controversy spawned from him being pissed off about his stream disconnecting and then shocking his dog. Now he says Cubans are happy they have no power. Dude, this is diabolical. This is insane. All right, so this is Hassan Piker, releasing videos, how rough it is in Cuba.
Cuba, and boy, do I have a show for you. Boy, do I have to tell you all about the things that have happened. My phone is basically just a non-functioning brick at this
Oh, you mean it fucking sucks to be under communism?
point. AT&T shut off my account because I was using too much data in Cuba.
Yep, it's a shithole. It's a communist shithole. Yep. That's why we're going to liberate the people. That's why we're going to topple the government, Hassan. Hope you enjoy watching.
For my own safety, I guess. Even though I functionally have had no data in Cuba whatsoever, but we're still doing the damn thing. And I have a bunch of interviews lined up with Cuban doctors, regular Cuban folks, and we're going to talk about their energy grid. But before that, obviously, I'm going to be talking about the situation that we're in Cuba.
Yeah. I have no power. No, experiences real communism once fucking died. Many such cases. This is literally like, dude, the Champagne Socialists, they go and they're like, wow, this place fucking sucks. Can't wait to get back to my mansion in LA. Many such cases. Hassan says, Cuban doctors told me they have to sew up patients mid-surgery with the generators run out of gas. But MAGA on here are too busy lying about the people that went with Cuba with aid. With aid! They painted murals! Did you not hear the news? To turn everything into distractive spectacle. Pure MAGA propaganda. You're cattle if you fall for it. Yeah, you're cattle if you think that communism fucking destroyed Cuba. Absolutely. This Hassan biker behind his little gate. Whoa! Taking beautiful pictures of the shithole in Cuba under communism. All right, so this guy says, I was also in Cuba on the same day. A Cuban taxi driver told me, they tell us on TV that we love Iran. Why should I love Iran? I love Cuba. Viva Trump. Viva Israel. Please Trump invade us. Oh my God. It seems like on the little gay Hassan propaganda tour where he did interviews, it seems like the people he was interviewing were very hand-selected. All right? Some people see this and think central planning is a good idea. Oh my God, dude. Absolute shithole. Hassan says, I can confirm that this Israeli agent was on the ground. What? He came up to me at the Havana airport to scream and weird everyone out. People around were worried for his mental health. Looking forward to how he tries to chop up the video, wondering what his purpose was. This guy went to a shithole in Cuba, okay, under communism that's falling apart, bumps into some random guy and calls him an Israeli agent because he's pro-Trump and he's against communism? Everything's Israel. This guy says, lol, what are you talking about? I was there. There was no screaming. No one was even paying attention. He walked up to you and said, as a Palestinian, you are hurting Palestinians. Oh my God, based. You hurled vulgarities and ran away. I actually believe this, by the way. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Hassan doesn't care about the Palestinians. He just hates America, hates the West, and hates Israel, and is using Palestinian suffering as some sort of excuse to launch his little gay crusade against Western civilization. He doesn't care about the Cubans either. He's only doing this because Trump wants to rescue them, and he wants to make Trump look bad, because that's the only thing that matters to him. He hates...
Literally, you cannot make this up.
In fact, he supports Hamas, the terrorist organization that started the war and caused all these Palestinians to die. Every Palestinian death, their blood is on the hands of Hamas, the terrorists that started the war and refused to end the war by releasing the hostages every single day despite getting obliterated. And the blood of the Palestinians is on the hands of the terrorists that forced the conflict. All right, I'm not going to play the stupid emotional blackmail bullshit with you. That's the reality, and a lot of people are way too retarded to acknowledge that. That is the morally clear position. And if you don't have that position, you're either not well-read enough or you have an agenda. So this is wild, right? So literally, a Palestinian Arab guy goes to Hassan and says, please, you're making it worse for the Palestinians by supporting Hamas. And Hassan calls him an Israeli agent. You literally can't make this shit up.
Nope.
It's honestly incredible. Right? Hassan doesn't stop. All right, I'm not going to go through every one of his tweets. He tweets constantly. You're a CIA account. Right? This person says this is a mockery of the Cuban people. You're a CIA account. That's why you're saying this. Oh my God, look at this shit. This is literally just an ultimate crash out. Ultimate crash out about all this is going on. The U.S. law is stupid, etc., etc. You're an insanely indecent person. You should think hard about why you're repeating MAGA lies. Yeah, the MAGA lies of how communism has destroyed the entire people of Cuba. It's insane, honestly. And the wildest part is how self-aware he is. Or he isn't, rather.
Right.
It's incredible. It's truly one of the...
Lack of situational awareness.
All right, Cuba's officially one of his favorite places right after China.
Totally understand why Will was saying that about Cuba. It's remarkable. The people's resilience is remarkable. There's like rolling blackouts that take place throughout the day, every day, all around the country.
Yeah,
right?
That's because of communism.
Right? 11 million people. But today is a beautiful day out here. It's like 75 degrees, sunny. People are partying. People are partying in the fucking streets. I don't know if it's like an island mindset. I don't know if it's like... I don't know if that has something to do with it. I'm sure that has something to...
Bro, I came to Cuba.
He's out of his mind.
Partied. It was amazing. Yeah, yeah, they don't have electricity, but it's awesome. Oh my God. Twitch millionaire streamer who lives in a Hollywood mansion, Hassan Piker in Cuba, raising awareness for the people. His sunglasses cost $1,400.
Organizations, including but not limited to the DSA, and my goal here today is to bring awareness to what my government, the United States of America, has done to the Cuban population.
The American government didn't do shit to the Cuban population. It's what the communist regime did to the Cuban population. You know, just like how the communism literally fucks and destroys every single country that tries it. And this is the Presidente, Donald Trump's take on Cuba. And honestly, I trust Trump more than I trust Hassan Piker.
When you say Cuba is next,
Cuba.
Is Cuba, whatever you do with the military there, it seems like something. Will that look more like Iran or Venezuela?
Can't tell you that.
No spoilers! No spoilers from our El Presidente!
Tell you that they're talking to us. It's a failed nation.
True.
They have no money. They have no
True.
oil. They have no nothing.
True.
They have nice land.
True.
They have nice landscape. You know, it's a beautiful island.
We're not telling you what's gonna happen, but they're next. We will have the honor of taking Cuba. We're not gonna tell you how, but it's gonna be awesome. And Hassan Piker might be going to jail for treason.
I don't know why it does that.
Next news, breaking news.
Welcome back to another special report right here at the Next News Network. Right now, on Interstate 10 in Florida, the Fox News crew is riding shotgun with DOT officials as they pull over big rig after big rig. What they're finding should terrify you. Foreign truck drivers who can't read a single word of English are barreling down American highways in 80,000-pound death machines. They don't know what the road signs mean. They can't communicate with first responders. Until President Trump stepped in, nobody was doing a thing about it. The Transportation Department just launched the most aggressive crackdown on illegal truckers in American history. And folks, the numbers they're pulling off the road will blow your mind. Now think about this for just a moment. You're driving your family down the interstate, your kids in the back seat, maybe heading to grandma's house for the weekend. The semi-truck in the lane next to you is being driven by someone who literally cannot read the words wrong way or bridge out ahead. You see, that's not a hypothetical. It's been happening every single day on American roads. These drivers obtain commercial driver's licenses they never should have had. Many in the country illegally in the first place. In the previous administration, what did they do? They look the other way.
They don't even try to know there's a problem. They just don't care. It's crazy.
Florida's Department of Transportation Administrator, Derek Barr, a former state trooper, he's now leading the crackdown. He said at Plain, these are the ones putting families at risk. See, look, it's not about immigration politics. It's about whether your children make it home safely. The Trump administration is finally treating this like the public safety emergency that it always was. And speaking of what matters most, let me tell you something
crazy
that can safeguard your family's future. See, I've tried hundreds of supplements over the years. Nothing, and I mean nothing, has delivered results like C60
We're gonna get some of this stuff.
Evo.
To
This
help our
Nobel
health.
Prize-winning molecule made lab animals live 90% longer.
I'm sold on
Now
it.
I know why.
I'm saving up to get it.
My brain fog, gone. Joint pain I've had for years, virtually eliminated. My wife's skin looks 10 years younger. My energy levels, I feel like I'm in my 20s. Now, the molecule is 172 times more powerful than vitamin C, and it's worth more than gold per ounce. The scientists behind it, making it in his Houston lab since 1991. See, it's not just another antioxidant. It works at the cellular level, where aging actually happens. And the Paris study showed the longest life extension in history, and now my family is living proof that it works. Visit c60evo.com/NNN.
I can't wait to have that
Use
stuff to
code
slather
NNN
on my
for
tooth right now in
exclusive
case it was
savings.
infected. Man,
Whether you want more energy,
176 times vitamin C would have knocked
better
whatever
skin,
is
or
out of
just
it
to feel young
at the
again,
cellular level
this
right
is
out.
truly your answer. c60evo.com/NNN and use code NNN at checkout, because 90% longer life, it only starts with one decision. Don't wait. Transform your health today. Now let's get back to the massive crackdown that's making American roads safer by the day. This is what the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about what's really happening out there. See, the Trump administration has now removed.
I checked this one
Okay,
before
sit down.
I put it on
Nearly
the
13,000
stream today because it was so
commercial truck
important to us.
drivers from American roads. 13,000.
13,000.
That number is climbing every single day. You see, these aren't random traffic
You can't make
stops.
this up.
This is a coordinated nationwide operation hitting wait stations, rest stops, and highways all across the country. Now there's a push to make this permanent with something called Delilah's Law. I'm going to show you exactly
Delilah's
what's happening
Law.
on the ground. Look at this. Holy crap. Gunther Eagleman writes,
I told you, dog.
the Transportation Department had Fox News ride along to showcase the crackdown on foreigners behind the wheel of big rigs who can't even read English. They don't even know what the road signs meant.
Good morning from Florida. Yeah, it was a busy day on the interstates here. You can check it out behind me on I-10 here in North Florida. We can tell you that thousands of truckers
The 10
move through this
stretches from
interstate
California
every
to Florida.
single day. It goes
Okay,
all
let
the
me
way
just
from
tell you that.
Jacksonville
And a
to
truck
Los
driver can
Angeles
go
in California.
from Florida
but
to
the DOT
California
and also
on the
Highway
I-10.
Patrol here in Florida tell me a lot of these truckers,
13,000
Bill, should
illegal
not be on the
truckers.
road. Why? Because they say they are in the country illegally in the first place. They got their hands on a commercial driver's license, but they should have never had. And it can be dangerous, the consequences, and also deadly.
The ones that we are targeting are the ones who are not doing the right thing. Those are the ones that need to be off the roadways. They're the ones that are putting families at risk.
So we went on patrol with DOT Administrator Derek Bars, who's leading the crackdown with state police. Bars served as a trooper with the Florida Highway Patrol for years before this job, so he knows how it goes. He showed us just how quickly teams of these truckers are out there and how quickly they can find those who are breaking the law. So it comes after several deadly crashes that police say were caused by truckers who were in the country illegally with these CDLs that investigators say they should have never obtained. Back in August, police say an illegal migrant from India pulled a U-turn on a Florida turnpike. He blocked the road, you remember this, and he's charged with killing 3 innocent people. DOT tells me thousands of truckers have been taken out of service nationwide for failing safety inspection. But some companies just rack up the violations bill and then they change their name. They're called chameleon carriers. So the Trump administration's going after enforcing existing laws. Like what? Well, speaking English. It's a requirement for truckers. Police say many cannot read basic road signs or speak the language, something we saw firsthand. Watch this.
How good is your English? Entiendo algo poquito. Can you speak any English? No, don't speak no English.
Okay, so didn't speak English, he said. This trucker failed the test. He was taken out of service right away. He didn't know what the road signs meant. People might think, what's the big deal? They're just behind a big rig. Why do they need to speak English? What would you say to that?
Well, I would say, number one, it's the law. It's been the law for a long period of time. That it's a safety issue. If there was a crash or something like that, I would want to make sure that that driver would know how to respond, slow down for upcoming traffic or a crash that has happened ahead.
And that's what was most shocking to me, just that they didn't know what the road signs meant. Like no U-turn, wrong way, like they didn't have a clue. And the troopers that we talked to out here, Bill, for Highway Patrol said it's half of the truckers that come through their way stations that they say don't speak English. So it's something we're going to keep an eye on, Bill.
And at 60 miles an hour, it's
half at that one location. Florida's crackdown highlights the risk of unqualified truckers, but it's Trump who is not stopping there. With nearly 13,000 foreign truckers off our streets, he's putting America first into highway safety. The Trump administration has now removed nearly 13,000 commercial truck drivers from U.S. roads for failing to demonstrate sufficient English proficiency, including the ability to read road signs and communicate. I mean, who can ever forget some of these visuals. I mean, I remember reporting on these as it happened. Absolutely horrific. Lives lost in an instant because these people should have never been on the road to begin with. Disqualified drivers. After an April announcement by Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to enforce English proficiency standards, thousands of drivers were restricted from driving after failing an English test. Out-of-service driver violations. Look at that. 13,000. Nearly 13,000. Right there. Thank God. So the pressure on truckers to learn English, it's not about compliance, it's about survival. As some drivers push back, others embrace the change, recognize the need to adapt for the future. We look at a new classroom initiative apparently making waves. Truck drivers are mad that President Trump is forcing them to learn English. If you can't pass a basic English test, you shouldn't be driving an 80,000-pound truck. Pass Delilah's law.
One driver in particular explained that truck driving to him is more than just a job, but rather a way of life he's always enjoyed. But he now understands the urgent need for him to learn English if he is to continue in this line of work.
No, this a long time ago, is that I needed to speak in English, but and today is more necessary from the.
It is necessary. It's always been necessary.
I agree.
So I'm going to tell you.
If you didn't think it was necessary to drive a big rig and not know English, then you should rethink that.
Demanding basic English proficiency was somehow racist or xenophobic. They let unqualified drivers slip through the cracks because enforcing the rules was politically inconvenient.
What I'm going to say is this. If I went over to Japan and just got a CDL license somehow and drove around in a big rig and I didn't know how to read the signs, how could you do the job properly? I mean, I don't even understand this. Are you really going to be putting that much onto your GPS and that much onto your, that's ridiculous. That's what we've gone to as a nation. Might as well just buy hundreds of thousands of Tesla trucks that don't have workers in them. So then they don't need to make sure they know English, okay? The cameras can see the signs and it can read English. Like this is where people are not understanding. They're hurting people. The people that are doing the job wrong are making it so we can justify getting rid of the job altogether by oh, let's just make driverless trucks. I mean, come on. But at the same time, it's we have a happy medium where the truck drivers actually can read English and understand the laws of the road and not just be some AI that could possibly break and kill people too. This is insanity, folks. To be quite honestly, it's a rock and a hard place. We got to pick. I think we can trust people, but we need to have different tests.
President Trump looked at this.
This is
and
crazy.
said, enough. Common sense has finally.
You have people who you can't trust with the DUIs, right? So you have to have a breathalyzer. Do we have to have a test thing on every freaking truck that you have to say the Star Spangled Banner in English or some shit? What do we do? Where do we go from here?
80,000-pound vehicle on American roads. You need to be able to read the road signs. You need to communicate with emergency responders. You need to understand the rules of the road like the rest of us. It's not complicated. This is what putting America first actually
It's just sad that
like
we have to say this
action.
stuff.
So this is exactly what we all voted for. A president who prioritizes American safety over political correctness. 13,000 dangerous drivers removed and counting. Florida leading the charge with boots on the ground enforcement and legislation on the way to make sure.
Pass Delilah's law.
Now, the Donald Big D has been swinging his D around a lot. He's very unhappy with our alliance with England. All right, the gayest country on the planet currently. It's pretty diabolical. I mean, they import all these people that literally execute gay people, and they've somehow became the gay people, which is fitting because they're literally getting killed by the people that bring into the country. So Donald Trump actually tweeted this from SNL. That's obviously making fun of Keir Starmer. Just insane. It's insane. Not only the fact that SNL made fun of him, that makes sense. This guy fucking sucks. But that Trump posted it is diabolical. Trump repeated constantly, he's not a Winston Churchill, that's for sure. Right? Like, this dude, he was been unbelievably pathetic, right, with this Iran war. You can use our bases. You can't use our bases. We don't want to help. We want to help. We want oil. Now that you won, now we'll send a battleship. He's been an absolute nightmare. He's a coward. He's a pussy. He's destroyed his own country, and he's been an absolutely terrible ally, quite literally. So, I mean, I know that Trump's upset at him. I'm just very happy he's actually posting this. I see a lot of people mad at Trump. Oh, you're making tensions between our nations. This guy fucking sucks, all right? And we're not doing anyone any favors by making believe he doesn't.
Just be yourself, Prime Minister. Yourself is who everyone likes.
18%. This is such a good parody, though. And I don't like SNL. I just like that Trump posted this. I want the rape gangs to stop raping, but I don't want to look Islamophobic, but arrest him.
You don't understand him like I do. I can change him.
That's insane.
I don't think the feeling's mutual. He can't stop insulting you. He called you a coward.
Wow. He called you a coward.
And he's right, by the way. He is a coward.
Like that's the straw.
Humiliating Starmer, and I respect it. And a lot of people say that he shouldn't be doing this because he's a world leader, and Starmer's also a world leader, and they shouldn't do this. It's making tension. This motherfucker wouldn't literally, imprison terrorists and rapists. I don't think he's going to do shit against the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world. Quite literally, I think making fun of him is actually a good thing. You see, I have come to a realization that a lot of people are slowly going to be... I'm telling you, this is going to break the dam. People are going to follow suit. Follow my little blue footsteps as we go down this path.
Follow my little blue footsteps.
Absolutely and utterly humiliate these hyper-feminized men. All right, every single male that orders their testicles on Temu but decides that he is going to talk about feminism and bullshit and Islamophobia or whatever the fuck, they need to be brutally and publicly humiliated. That will be the social
public
shaming
humiliation
system that we need
just
to
as much
implement
as the
to stop
next
these
guy.
fucking faggots from taking over the world. They want to use their cancel culture bullshit. If you sound a little bit too racist, maybe you noticed a pattern, and all of a sudden, now they want to ruin your life? Well, we have to brutally humiliate these fuckers. These emasculated, childless, pathetic retards need to be really used to the fact that everyone knows how pathetic and shitty they are.
I really wish Gavin Newsom heard that and understood that we know how stupid and pathetic he is.
Erupted in flames in London's Golders Green neighborhood. There is no immediate word on the cause. It was Muslims in hoodies. But anti-Semitic arson is an immediate suspicion. No, you don't fucking say. Now, Hatzalah, for those of you that are unaware, is a Jewish emergency service, a private company that is 100% privately funded. It does not take money from the governments. It is a volunteer agency of licensed EMTs that are first responders. Whenever they get a call that someone is hurt, that someone is choking, that someone broken a bone, you call Hatzalah, they show up. It is not exclusively for Jewish people. Obviously, anyone can use Hatzalah. It's just owned by Jews, and it's largely funded by Jews. There are many of these Hatzalahs all over the place. They have them in Brooklyn. They have them in New Jersey. They have them in England, apparently. And they have them all over. Basically, wherever you have like a large Jewish community, there's a Hatzalah, which, once again, privately owned, privately funded, volunteer service. And the fact that this is the target of an arson attack by a Muslim is fucking diabolical. Didn't they know there was a synagogue around the block that they could have bombed? Totally missed opportunity. I'm kidding.
Damn,
they already tried
savage.
that in Michigan. It didn't work there, so maybe they're changing things up. I don't know.
They
As I
probably
say,
are.
It's linked to an Iranian terror cell and a brand new terrorist organization, which we're gonna get to in a minute. Want to hear a really funny statistic? Despite the fact that Christianity is the largest religion in the world, the top 20 terrorist organizations, by size, are all Muslim.
Muslim,
What
yeah.
a coincidence. Probably nothing to do with the religion. That literally tells you to smite the non-believer at the neck. Right? Probably has nothing to do with the religion, okay? I don't want to sound Islamophobic or anything. I mean, we're talking about England here. I don't want the international thought police to come and arrest me. So this is pretty insane, honestly. These ambulances ran 100% by volunteers, saved lives every day in London, especially given that NHS ambulances now often take hours to arrive because it's a socialized medicine, and socialized medicine is absolutely bullshit. It doesn't work. So a lot of people have been using the Hatzalah services. This has to be one of the most horrific acts of low IQ anti-Semitic evil to happen here in recent years against stiff competition. Yeah, there's a lot of stabbing Jews, shooting Jews, beating up Jews, vandalizing synagogues and stuff. I mean, that's what happens when you import 4 bajillion Pakistanis, I guess. Anyone that's actually surprised about this is probably retarded. They're literally in the streets chanting to globalize the Intifada, and everyone's surprised when they globalize the Intifada. And I don't want to be controversial here or anything, or Islamophobic, but like there's a game that I always like playing whenever there's a terror attack. You know, I give you guys 2 options. Who's the terrorist? But sometimes it's just so obvious.
Who's the terrorist?
Like it's in England, right? A Muslim majority country as it is. All right, it's literally against Jews. All right,
that's crazy.
It's an arson attack. All right, very cool. And it's a low IQ anti-Semitic attack. You see, at least the Nazis, bro, they're fucking high IQ. They're intelligent, you know. But like these dumb fucks come from 65% inbred Pakistan, and then we're surprised when they're fucking retarded. 0 challenge, not even worth playing guess the terrorist.
Damn, not even worth it.
4 replacement ambulances after those belonging to the Jewish community were set on fire in Golders Green. For the record, this is not completely accurate. The government will loan them 4 ambulances for now, and that's what it seems. But as you can see, it's 4 youths. 4 youths show up all of a sudden, middle of the night. There they are, just a couple of youths, nothing to see here. And they go up to the ambulance. Definitely a totally nice thing to do, probably. They light a little fire. And they literally do this to 4 ambulances. It's pretty insane, honestly. It's pretty diabolical. But again, that's just life. That is life. Now, a lot of people have been crashing out. Oh my God, they have their own ambulance services? Right? We're here, working our ass off, paying taxes, and the British government's fucking ambulance system sucks so much, and the Jews have their own ambulance service? Technically, it is a completely privately owned organization. It is privately owned, and it is all volunteer work. So, yeah, I guess next time you're in trouble in England near a Jewish community, call Hatzalah. Y'all should be knowing about this. These are the cheat codes to surviving. we got to use the
Call the Hatzalah, huh?
Jew tunnels for fast travel. I can't believe so many people didn't know about this. Like, it's a volunteer service that literally works with anyone that actually calls. It's pretty insane. It's like, what's next? You don't even know that the Jews have, like, the weather machines that control the weather, too? Please, that's ridiculous. Obviously, we do. This is Nigel Farage. He's, like, a center-right party. Not a big fan of the guy, to be honest, because he doesn't want to deport enough motherfuckers from the country. But this is what he had to say about it.
Over a decade ago, I warned that a fifth column was building up inside this country of people who literally hated us and everything we stand for. I was...
Wow, you're so brave. And you still don't want to deport them. Unbelievable.
Roundly condemned for those comments.
That's right. They called him Islamophobic for noticing that the Muslims that they are importing are not integrating into society, and they're quite literally not allying with the British people. They're allying with themselves to conquer England. He was right about that. And then he decided he didn't want to deport them. Holy shit.
Overnight in North London, 4 private ambulances were firebombed. Yes, they were owned by the Jewish community. They were there as a backup to the ambulance service, They weren't just for Jewish people, actually. Anybody could ring them up if they were
Yeah,
struggling to
true.
get an ambulance. And 4 of them have been firebombed and destroyed. The group that has claimed credit for it, Ashab al-Yamin,
Every fucking time. Ashab al-Yamin. Yeah, it totally sounds like straight white Christian male, if you ask me.
is a terrorist organization that has
Wow.
already
I thought white supremacy was the biggest threat to the Jews. Please, bro.
committed
Are we still
horrible
playing
crimes
this game?
in Belgium, in the Netherlands,
Oh.
and in Greece as well.
Look at that. It's a literal trans-European terrorist organization created and made up by migrants that you dumb fucks imported yourselves. We brought a death cult into our country and now they're trying to kill us? I can't believe it.
Well, they are directly linked to the IRGC.
Wow. Literal and Iranian-based terrorist organization killing people throughout Europe in multiple countries in Europe, and these fucking retarded faggots didn't want to join our war. They didn't want to open the Strait of Hormuz. We didn't want to get involved in helping with the Strait of Hormuz. They are literally getting attacked on the inside by Iranian terrorist organizations, and these shitbags didn't want to get involved because they were scared of probably the Muslims in their countries. Let's be honest for a second.
The Iranian terror group, the group that even the European Union has now prescribed as a terrorist organization. I have been urging the Prime Minister to do something about this.
Why would he do something about it? These are literally the people that are voting for him. His voters are literally the Al-Shabaab, Hudamahuzit, whatever the fuck, Boko Haram retards.
Yet what did he do? He said, our thoughts are with the Jewish community.
Wow, that'll help. That'll help. That'll really help the Jewish guy that was shot in Manchester. I'm sure that he feels so much better that Keir Starmer, the guy that let in the guy that shot the Jewish guy, I'm sure he feels much better that his thoughts are with him.
Sorry, Prime Minister, your thoughts aren't enough. What I want to hear, what the whole country wants to hear, given we now have a terror cell embedded in North London,
How the fuck did that
what I want to
happen?
hear is you are prescribing as a terrorist organization the IRGC, and that we will hunt down those who committed this act overnight and who could be capable of doing much worse.
You see, the reason why I don't like this guy is because what he should have said is, we will deport every single illegal alien in the entire country. We will shut down immigration from third world countries. We will denaturalize millions of people that refuse to assimilate into our culture. Right? That's what he should be saying. All right, if they have they literally imported, they rolled out the red carpet, and they fund the stay of terrorists because of their suicidal immigration policies. And this dumb fuck literally doesn't even want to take the extra step to say that, well, maybe the mass migration is actually an issue. We just need to hunt the people responsible. Or we need to take out the 3 hoodlums. 3 guys named Mohammed.
It is time the Prime Minister gave a lead. Just complaining that anti-Semitism has no place in Britain isn't good enough. He needs to do something about it.
He's totally right. And what he needs to do goes way further than whatever the fuck you're doing. In fact, I'll tell you what he needs to do. This is Rupert Lowe. He is running for the Restore Britain party. They're being called the far-right party. And you know what? I don't actually give a fuck what you call me. like that is the stance that you need to have today. Right? I don't care what labels you throw at me. I don't care what pejoratives you hurl. None of it matters. Plenty of hysteria around Restore Britain's policy on banning the burqa. Misinformation is rife, and I want to officially correct the record. We'd ban the niqab too. Right? These are 2 different types of Islamic hair coverings. He's like, bro, we are not, this guy wants to deport them all. This guy wants to deport them all, as many as fucking possible. It's going to be hard work, and he's going to fucking do it. And you can call him racist, and he doesn't care. And that's what I like to see, honestly. This guy's fucking diabolical. And you know what? That might actually help the Jewish community from getting stabbed. I'm starting to realize, if all of them are not in the country, then they're not going to be firebombing Jewish ambulances. All right, Keir Starmer, right, queer Stalin over here decided to release this statement. Beautiful stuff. This is a deeply shocking, anti-Semitic, arson attack. My thoughts are with the Jewish community who are waking up this morning to the horrific news. Anti-Semitism's new place in our society. Anyone with information must come forward to the police. This is the gayest fucking statement I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, this is literally a nothing burger. Terrorist attack happens. I condemn it. Wow! Another strongly worded tweet by queer Stalin expecting to save the world. Diabolical. Now, just to understand how bad the situation actually is in England, pedophile migrant who failed to disclose child sex offense after coming to UK wins appeal against deportation, as the judge rules it was an honest mistake. I can guess who the fucking judge was, but I won't, because I'm smart. It was a Muslim. I'm kidding. I doubt it. I didn't read the article. Honestly, this happens every day in England. I have no idea, but I don't care. I don't care. It's this leftoid policy hive mind that brings in the retards and then forces you to keep them there. You're not going to deport a pedophile that lied on his immigration files? Like, what are we fucking doing? All right? This is London right now.
Alright, so once you get your caps you're gonna go ahead and put them in here and just don't spend them, or you're gonna lose the opportunity to multiply them. See how they're just going up?
Anyway, you get the idea. They keep coming. They keep coming.
And you can do this, doesn't matter, like the beginning of the game.
They keep it.
You just gotta have a certain number of caps. I haven't figured out the amount of caps yet, but I just clear the casinos out, and as soon as I get all the casino caps, I have infinite money. You know, like that's pretty much.
Like they've been making like these little.
I take everything pretty literal. Like I'll
to talk about how right-wing extremism is the actual problem.
literally have over 2 million here in a bit.
Whitlock got hold of those Home Office documents via Freedom of Information.
I'm just pressing left bumper, left trigger once, and then enter as an A, and then go over here and grab it again, and it will be more.
Girl bosses got together.
Sometimes you do it twice, you know, just to kind of see.
Was looking into the information of criminals.
Accused the government of covering up the true stats on undocumented migrants.
Wow, he thinks that the government covered up the stats of undocumented migrants, which, by the way, the government actually was doing.
So it's something of an obsession for the lad.
Whitlock's 4chan account, Mom, deactivated last month.
Because?
Sending you the post that got him kicked off the platform.
Oh my God. What's the post that got him kicked off the platform? By the way, this is not true. You don't get kicked off 4chan.
Say the last land invasion of England was
It's a white male.
in 66. In actual fact, the last land invasion of England was yesterday morning at 9:45 when a boat carrying 40 undocumented male migrants landed in Dungeness, Kent.
He's right. He's literally right. That happens in England every single day. Well, where's the lie?
40, fighting age.
I love how everyone's like looking at each other. This is just true.
Illegal male migrants.
That's true.
A land invasion is an act of war. Right? In war, civilians are allowed to fight back. We're supposed to fight back. And the next time a boatload of fighting age males lands on our shores, we'll be ready.
Turn the car around.
Oh my God. A white male doesn't want his country invaded? Wow, no. So, like, this is the level of slop that they're actually posting. And there's another one. All right, so this is quite literally the illegal aliens invading England. All right, look at these guys. Now, obviously, normally it's fighting age men. Right, and this is the white supremacist terrorist aiming at a child, even though there really aren't children on these boats for the most part. But why not? Who cares? Make him comically evil. Oh my God. The true villains, not the poor children invading the country illegally, but the white men trying to stop his country from getting invaded. This is insane. All right, new adolescents. All right, this time the illegal migrants raping little girls are not the bad guys, but the Englishman who's angry about migration turns out to be a child murderer. This is a BBC-funded propaganda, and it's insane. So, for the record, if you're in England and you're paying taxes, your taxes are going to this. All right, they're not going to Jewish ambulances, which are completely self-financed. They're going to this propaganda on why we actually need to let our countries get raped by illegals. Right? I hope you understand. Hope you understand. Now, to understand the level of rot in all of these countries, this young woman was kicked off the morning show for exposing that 90% of thefts in Barcelona are committed by foreigners.
Salir a la calle y hablar con la gente trabajadora del día a día que tiene que vivir
All right,
con las
whatever.
consecuencias de nuestro país.
You get the idea. All right, I don't speak Mexican, but you get the idea. The reality is, you just list true statistics, they call you a racist, and they kick you off their shows. All right. Now, breaking news: two far-left anarchists blew themselves up with a homemade bomb in preparation for a terrorist attack in Rome, Italy. Oh well, huge L. That's so sad. Anyway, moving on. If you look into the actual stats here, and you want to literally freak the fuck out, a new study shows that the average Somali immigrant to Finland comes with a lifetime fiscal burden of 950,000 euros. The average Iraqi immigrant cost the Finnish system nearly 700,000, far outpacing the native Finns' 3,400 annual net contribution. All right, so this person asks Grok, how many Finnish taxpayers are needed to cover the cost of one Somali if one Somali creates a lifetime fiscal burden of 951,000 euros, which is the actual stat? Approximately 280. 280. 951,000 euros lifetime fiscal burden divided by 3,400 annual net contribution per working age native Finn, 279.9. Which means you need 280 Finnish people working full-time their whole lives to quite literally prop up the life of one Somali. One Somali! They're bringing these parasites into our countries to destroy us financially, sexually, and through terrorism. And they might put you in jail if you notice.
Yeah, I know. Well, they're gonna be put in jail. That's it. I'm done. This is too much.
Okay, let's discuss some really strange galaxies. And specifically,
God,
we're
I
going
need
to be
a breather.
discussing a still kind of misunderstood type of galaxies that quite literally are changing our fundamental understanding of how the universe seems to be put together. And well, you can see one of them in this image right here. And yeah, there is really not much to see. And that's because, once again, we're going to be discussing something in regards to dark matter. But in this case, actually, galaxies that seem to have none of it. And so even though for decades the standard model of cosmology told us that dark matter is this invisible glue in the universe that seems to keep galaxies together, in the last few years researchers have found something that basically does the opposite, or essentially galaxies that seem to lack this glue, yet are still galaxies and are galactic in shape. And so let's talk about several studies that as always you can find in the description, that in essence all focus on a somewhat similar concept of dark matter-free galaxies, or basically these unexplained unusual galaxies that we didn't even know existed until the first discovery in 2018. But I guess let's start with the problem first. So normally, in a regular galaxy, dark matter acts as a kind of a gravitational scaffold, allowing normal matter like gas, dust, and stars to clump together and to create various galactic shapes. In fact, we've always thought that small faint galaxies known as dwarf galaxies, and especially galaxies referred to as UDF or ultra-diffuse galaxies, may potentially be some of the most dark matter-enriched objects, containing hundreds of times more dark matter compared to stars and compared to what's expected from a regular galaxy. And while astronomers have found these UDFs highly enriched in dark matter, and we've discussed many of them in a lot of videos in the description. But as it turns out, nature always finds a way to surprise us, and in recent years astronomers identified a handful of galaxies that seem to be doing almost the opposite. They essentially appear to have almost no dark matter, even though technically they should have a lot of it. And so in this video we're going to do some updates about them, including a newly discovered and newly confirmed dark matter-free galaxy that was only recently described in February of 2026. But let's I guess start with the obvious. By having these galaxies that contain no dark matter, this essentially provides us with a definitive proof that dark matter is real. In other words, the only reason these objects exist is because they seem to have none of it, whereas other galaxies seem to have a lot of it. And especially inside these ultra-diffuse galaxies, UDFs or UDGs for short. And basically these are galaxies that are barely visible to the most powerful telescopes and are practically invisible to a commercial telescope, which is why we only found them not so long ago. They essentially resemble these very faint, ghostly smudges, even though some of them are just as big as the Milky Way galaxy. But because they contain 100 to even 1,000 times less stars, they obviously produce almost no light. And so back in 2018, one of these galaxies, NGC 1052-DF2, the galaxy you see right here, essentially surprised everyone. And that's because here at first, astronomers expected that the stars are going to be moving relatively fast, mostly because this galaxy should be enriched in dark matter. But by measuring the motion of star clusters and individual stars, something astronomers refer to as velocity dispersion, they were actually shocked to discover that inside this massive halo, instead of moving at high speeds, stars were moving incredibly slow. the exact speed, as a matter of fact, that we expect from an object that contains practically nothing except for stars and gas. And that goes against all theories of galactic formation. We don't expect this to exist at all, and in theory, it should not be possible. In order to have a galaxy, it has to have a scaffold of dark matter first. And for a long while, actually several years, a lot of astronomers were very skeptical. As a matter of fact, we've discussed additional propositions, such as maybe we just miscalculated the distance, because if this was at a different distance, maybe everything suddenly makes sense. But follow-up after follow-up essentially confirmed the same. The distance was correct, the motion was correct, this galaxy contained no dark matter. And moreover, not so long afterwards, relatively close to this, researchers also discovered DF4, or basically its neighbor. And just like that, we now had two galaxies with very similar properties and in a very similar location. And though surprising, this potentially provided a clue. Maybe something happened in this region that actually stripped dark matter, making these previously regular galaxies become like this. And so this was a pretty big breakthrough. Here astronomers discovered that galaxies are not just floating randomly in this case, but instead seem to be a part of a tight cluster of smaller galaxies, very close to a famous galaxy referred to as NGC 1052. But even more importantly, at some point a lot of this started to make sense when scientists essentially realized that they also form a kind of a line, and they were also moving along this line, suggesting that they're all kind of related. And so basically here we had this very tight linear trail of galaxies, with some of them lacking dark matter, but some of them being normal. But since all of them were moving in a very coordinated way, they definitely had some kind of a relationship and potentially experienced something in the past that basically made them this way. Which brings us to this very recent study that was just released of the third galaxy missing dark matter along this line. And so yeah, now we have DF9. This was discovered using the Cosmic Web Imager in Hawaii, which was able to create an extremely accurate measurement of the star dispersal inside this object. And just like its neighbors DF2 and DF4, it seems to show very low dark matter presence because the stars are moving super slow. And that makes this the third confirmed member along the same line, which actually confirms another proposition from a few years back, where scientists tried to explain all of this with something like this. Basically, a galactic passage or a galactic merger that stripped many of these objects of dark matter that resulted in a galaxy falling apart and some chunks forming regular galaxies, other chunks becoming just stars and gas. Or essentially this was some kind of a galactic interaction that possibly strips some parts of the galaxy from dark matter completely, but left other objects untouched. And that means that a lot of this would now kind of make sense. But that's not all. We actually have another surprise from a completely different region that seems to involve something extremely similar. And so here we have a discovery from last year from the cluster referred to as Fornax, which means that it's definitely not some kind of a local anomaly or some kind of an unusual collision event, but instead seems to be maybe kind of common. This is where this most recent surprise comes in. And so here, another candidate, FCC 224, in a different part of the universe near the Fornax cluster, this is about 60 million light-years away from us, is another ultra-diffuse galaxy that seems to share very similar fingerprints with the previously discussed objects. And specifically, it seems to contain an unusual system of star clusters, and specifically globular clusters, that seem to look a little bit different from what we usually expect in a normal galaxy like the Milky Way. And so in a normal galaxy, these clusters follow a very standard range of brightness that's usually very easy to predict. But in this galaxy, as well as previously discussed DF2, DF4, and DF9, star clusters seem to be remarkably bright or even overluminous. So basically they're producing way more brightness than they should, as if all of these galaxies use the same recipe to form their clusters. And so here, by measuring the motion of stars in this galaxy, it was also confirmed to be very low in dark matter and was basically almost exactly the same as these three other objects in a completely different part of the night skies. And so finding these objects in such different environments suggests that they're not just some kind of an anomaly, but instead seem to represent a completely new class of galaxies we obviously never knew existed. And much more recently, in just the last few days, one of the researchers studying this, Maria Buzo, has also discussed a potentially other object, FCC 240, which seems to be very, very similar to FCC 224. and surprisingly also located in the same region. And that actually suggests that maybe these objects come in pairs or triplets because something very similar seems to result in their formation, with the leading theory explaining this as something referred to as the bullet dwarf collision. Essentially two regular dwarf galaxies full of dark matter and gas smashing into each other at very high velocities and producing something very different as a result. In this case, the dark matter, which doesn't interact with anything, basically just sails through and keeps going. This is actually what we observe in the famous bullet cluster. But because the gas is kind of sticky and does collide with stuff, when the gas clouds from two galaxies hit each other, they produce a lot of shock and reduce their velocity, stopping somewhere in the middle. And so here this stalled gas eventually becomes compressed, which also triggers a massive star formation period that produces a lot of stars all at once, which potentially explains why these galaxies are so diffuse and also why they seem to have these very strange bright star clusters that must have all formed at the same time. But also of course explains why there is no dark matter. And in this case it would also explain why they seem to move along a straight line. This would be basically the line of their collision. But right now there's just not enough evidence and not enough additional observations to definitively tell how this is formed. The only thing we know for sure is that many of these galaxies are indeed almost completely dark matter free and seem to contain partners that are very similar in many different properties. But at the same time, by finding these galaxies and by confirming their existence, we can almost definitively rule out a lot of alternative explanations, such as the now infamous Mond theory, the modified Newtonian dynamics, because Mond cannot possibly explain the existence of these galaxies and regular galaxies. And so the alternative theories of physics unfortunately fail if these galaxies are real. Or basically if dark matter was just some kind of a property of gravity or required the change of gravitational formula we use today, then every galaxy should have the same effects. But these ones don't. Unless, of course, dark matter was some kind of a difficult to find particle, which in this case makes a lot more sense. And so it has to be a tangible substance that can be physically separated from normal matter. We just don't really know what this matter is. But right now this is still very early research, and astronomers are continuously looking for more of these dark matter-free galaxies in order to establish if this is indeed some kind of a new class we've never considered. Luckily for us, the Vera Rubin Observatory is going to be perfect for this, so hopefully we'll get enough data soon for astronomers to basically find tens or even hundreds of these, which will provide us with enough data to explain their formation. And so as we find more and more of these, we'll hopefully be able to understand the recipe for creating galaxies, and more importantly, we'll hopefully be able to figure out what dark matter particles actually are. Although right now this is also a pretty good reminder that even our most solid theories, such as the ideas behind galactic formation, are still open to a lot of new data and new interpretations, and do require a little bit of reworking. So definitely quite a lot to do for astronomers and astrophysicists. But on that note, we'll come back and discuss this more in some of the future videos. Until then, thank you for watching, subscribe, come back tomorrow to learn something else, support this channel on Patreon where you can find additional videos without any ads.
ICE is now going into airports. Take a look at this. Oh boy. ICE has completely cleared out the Florida airport where they were stationed. TSA lines are non-existent. Now, some of these could be inaccurate, but this is what a lot of people have been talking about. Yeah, finally.
And the wait line looks like this. In the couple of hours that I've been here, I've seen ICE officers patrolling, and the line has looked the same since I got here. Completely empty. So if you see wait times go down while you're traveling, you may just want to thank an ICE officer. Earlier this morning, travelers may have experienced a little bit of time, but since I've been here, the lines seem to be moving fairly smooth.
There it is. It's almost like if you go after these people, then they run away. And illegals scattered. And again, I
that's
think
what
that
you
people
watch from my
don't
channel.
realize
That's
this
it.
is what ICE is being at the airport does, like doing nothing. Yep, that's right. And they're sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And you know what they're actually doing? They're like a scarecrow for the illegals. It's like they see them and they run away. And Mbach on the line says she sports ICE.
Bother anybody? I'm okay. I was concerned about people. So
yeah,
they're
it's like
not
a
bothering
scarecrow.
us. Let's get it done.
I like that they're here. I think that it's allowing us to move and get to where we need to go.
It's kind of scary in a sense because you don't know what to expect with ICE.
As long as they can help us move a little bit faster, maybe they can take some of the work off the TSA agents as far as general security. I'm all for it.
Yeah, so most people are probably happy. On the way to Houston to cover long TSA lines, and this is what it looks like at Dallas-Fort Worth. Man.
And so it begins.
I think that people don't realize how bad the illegal problem is. I don't think they realize how bad, like, having, like, 20 million or 10 million extra people in the country actually
5
is.
hours
and now
and
you're
42
seeing it,
minutes.
it's being observed, and it becomes much more
It's an
fucking
hour and a half
obvious,
less
right?
than what I did
It's like
last
entering
time.
a high-level zone.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
good,
guess
man.
so.
I'm doing
and
pretty good.
Hospitals next, please. That's the next thing
gonna
they need to do.
buy everything now.
So the next thing that they need to do is they need to send ICE to the emergency rooms,
And send
because that way you
everything.
can spawn camp them. Like, that's where they're all at, because everybody gets sick, so you just wait for them to go to the emergency room,
Everything?
and then you
Give me
arrest them.
everything?
And so they get seen, okay, you're
Every
discharged,
fucking
where are
thing.
you going? You're going to go home? No, you're not. You're going to go home. And now you're getting on an airplane. And spawn camp, yeah, no, really, that's what they should do. That's absolutely what should happen. They should put them in the fucking, in the emergency rooms. Yes. You're going home. Yes, exactly. And so, you know what is this here? If I can pull somebody up, I'll pull. You know what? This is going to be the last person we're going to pull up for this topic, because I feel like I pulled them to me. What am I ignorant about with this? Go ahead. Explain it. Explain how this isn't an obvious problem. Yeah, I want to know. And by the way, any vague comment, you're instantly permit. Anything vague is an instant permit. You're not calling me Jesus, are you? You're not. I would assume not, but maybe he is. I mean, I am a nice guy. They don't have money for that's the airport. I don't care. Ban me. They don't have money. Of course they have money. And that's at the airport? Yeah, of course they have money. Like, what do you think? The illegals don't have any money? Like, obviously they do. Like, they use fake IDs. They use fake fucking documentation. Like, they get money other ways, too. Like, and also, by the way, the
As you can
hospitals
tell,
is a
the
huge
money
one,
doesn't
okay?
really work right,
Like, if you
because
go to a
I just started the
hospital,
game and I
any
have
hospital here in Texas
over 1
that I've
million
been to
caps,
before,
so
if you
you
go to the
guys could,
emergency
like,
room, and I've been to the emergency rooms and hospitals
do
many,
that
many
shit
times with both my
yourselves.
parents.
Have fun, man.
I've probably been to an emergency room a total amount of times, like 20 times. Like, if you, like, that's a lot. I mean,
feel like
I
if
think
I
for,
do
like,
this
an
enough-
average person, like, that's a lot to be in a fucking emergency room.
Look,
and so
very hard. And I did it on very hard,
every
okay? Just
single
to prove
time-
that
I've
you
done
can
every
do
time.
it
Like,
any
18 out of the
difficulty.
20 times that I was there, you had a group, a family of people.
What are you doing
None
in
of
there?
them fucking spoke
I wanna
English.
know.
There was like 5 of them, and they were sitting there. And I guarantee you, if you had ICE sitting there, and then like every single time in the last like 5 years that I had been to an emergency room, they always told me, they said, it's never been more busy than this. It's never been more busy than this. Oh, it's so busy today. It's getting so busy now. And the reason why is you have a bunch of fucking illegals coming in there. They can't afford health care, and so they go to the emergency room. And did you guys know they have a little fucking translator machine that they have to talk to communicate with these fucks? So, like, this person doesn't know English. They only speak Spanish. So they're in the emergency room, and they're talking to this fucking robot TV. And this is, like, think about how long that takes to process somebody. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? Think about how much time we have that's being wasted on a systematic problem that just multiplies the amount of time and effort that it takes to give people critical care. It's outrageous. So yeah, it's not the only reason. It's a big reason. Of course, it's not the only reason, but it's a huge reason. So yes, I don't get it at all. It costs so much money too. Yes, it's crazy, isn't it? This is hardly in America. It is. It's in Texas, I'll tell you that. We hire people that speak multiple languages. It's hard as fuck and takes time out of our day. Yeah, it's annoying. And don't want to learn a language, but wants our benefits. Yeah. Why not a phone? Well, probably because they haven't updated it to that, to that frequency, right? Same thing happens in California. You're completely right about this. Yes. And so this is the main issue. This is happening in America. It is. It's happening in America, and it's a huge problem. And if you don't believe me, you can go to the local emergency room, and you can just look at them. Like, you just look at them. These people look like illegal aliens, right? I mean, like, and on top of that, they don't speak English. Like, I'm sorry, but whenever I see a family of 6 people and none of them are speaking English, I assume that they're illegal. I do. And maybe not every single one, but at least some of them are. And it's obvious. I mean, everybody knows this, right? But you're not supposed to say it. Oh, you can't say this. It's obvious that's what's happening. Oh, here we go. Let's take a look at it.
Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So if you have a flight to catch today, it's a good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International. Finally,
I wonder why. Maybe it's because the ICE agents are there. And I'm very happy to see this.
Be better.
Is there
Be
a
better.
single report today of something going awry with ICE agents?
Well, thank God for 24 hours something bad didn't happen.
Maybe there is. There was an ICE agent refusing to identify himself, arresting a woman in an airport, freaking people out. They weren't even sure it was in San Francisco airport.
Well, what kind of
San Francisco? That makes sense.
interaction was it actually? Do you know the situation?
It was an arrest. I don't know. Scott,
It was an arrest? I don't know. That's right. Of course you don't know.
Who did they arrest? Now you're bringing it up. Who did they arrest?
No, I'm saying
internet. We'll need the internet.
Just making shit up. Yeah, exactly. I read on the internet this happened. Well, what happened? I don't know.
Two senior administrators.
Meanwhile, this woman was arrested by ICE Sunday at San Francisco's airport.
For what?
DHS says she's from Guatemala, had a deportation order signed by a judge, and tried to flee as officers were deporting her. DHS saying the incident was unrelated to efforts to help TSA.
Gotta catch them all.
Be better.
Well, how about that? That's why they've got him there. Obviously, it seems like it's a great idea. And I worked at a parts store. There'll be 3 adult males and like a 10 to 12-year-old, and the kid was the only one who spoke English, and he'd translate to the older ones. Yep, that's it. I think that people have no idea how bad this actually is. It is insanely fucking bad. And let me go. I'll look at the other ones here, too, because it's just been crazy to look at this. Oh, here's another one. ICE agents were spotted actively assisting. Oh, here we go. Yeah, just sitting there. How are they flying? You have to have a real ID, right? So this is the problem that a lot of people don't understand. The first worlder mind, the Western first worlder mind, cannot even comprehend the level of behavior that these people engage in. They lie about their name. They lie about their birthday. They lie about like when they were born, what year, how old they are. They steal people's identities. Like they steal everything, right? They're stealing all this stuff themselves. You can fire the passport or real ID. It's fraud. Yes, exactly. Fire the passport. And Trump chickened out. He's not deporting anybody. Well, I just literally saw something of somebody getting deported. So like I don't know. I mean, I think they need to deport more people too, but at the same time, like, I mean, it seems like they are deporting people. So yeah, they're obviously, damn. That's pretty bad. That's a pretty bad line. That's a really bad, holy shit, that's a bad line. God damn. In your opinion, is it the largest category of fraud in the United States? I think that probably, like, by numbers, I think that, you know, social services fraud is probably the biggest because social services is so much money. But I think that also, like, you have a huge amount of money. Hell no. Well, no, like, I mean, for example, like, social services are such a huge amount of the, like, of the budget that, like, if you assume that 10% of it is fraud, then, I mean, comparatively, like, let's say military, you could say the military instead, like 30 or 40% of all the money would have to be fraud, which is probably too high even for that. So I would say it probably is the largest amount. Yeah, overall. I bet illegals make up something like 15%. Well, it's not just illegals. It's also just bad actors in general. Like, you have migrants, you have immigrants, and you also just have Americans that are taking advantage of systems. Like, you have all 3 of them. The average person over 40 cares about what affects their kids and grandkids. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. Huge amount of fraud across the USA. The level of fraud is probably equal GDP to some rich countries. Yeah, we're probably pissing away, like, I would assume, I'm not even kidding, $1 trillion a year. I think we are spending $1 trillion a year collectively on fraud. If you add together tax fraud, identity theft fraud, social services fraud, military, you know, like wasted spending, if you put all of that together, I think we are spending $1 trillion a year, if not more. I think people have no idea how bad it really is. It's crazy. Man. It's a lot of people. We should deport the Americans, exploiting the third world is true, taking advantage of systems. I mean, just seize their assets and put them in jail, right? I mean, like, then get the money back. Because, like, you're stealing from the government. I mean, like, that's our money. So, yeah. And you've got, obviously, ICE all over the airports now, which is, I think, kind of good. I'm glad to see this. But let me go. And this is apparently, I'm kind of surprised, but they're just flying airplanes around in Iran. They are. What do you think about the vets on disability? I would infinitely rather pay for a veteran's disability than pay for an illegal alien. Because at least a veteran is a citizen and they serve the country. Like, so from my perspective, I do think that certain veterans probably do abuse disability, and they do probably take advantage of it, and that is a problem. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it probably does exist, but that's not going to be my priority one whenever you have people that aren't even supposed to be here that are doing the same thing. So that's really how I see it. I mean, I'm not even saying that it's a good thing. It's not a good thing, but at the same time, I think it could be a hell of a lot worse. So that's how I see it. Additionally, the money's fed back into the U.S. and overseas, so it makes a big difference. It's okay. Did you say the self-report of if ICE is at an airport, it's a step away from ICE being at the voting polls? No, I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised. Priya, I'd like to see some retroactive consequences for the companies that did this fraud knowingly. Oh, yeah, I agree with you about that. I think it's a huge problem. And this is, let me go back. Oh, here's another one. This is in Iraq. God damn. All right. Well, that's too bad, huh? Burn. Yeah, I guess so. And ATL Airport before and after ICE. Obviously, this is probably somewhat selectively edited, but I think it's probably to a certain extent, you know, like, kind of expected. It's a lot of people. People everywhere.
So,
man.
But to be honest, this is decent, guys. This is
and that's at 5:30 in the morning too. Like that's when everybody's trying to fly out, so they can be there before you know, businesses start. Holy fuck, man! And you're gonna say what's this here? Next thing you're gonna say is private citizens need to be enforcing speeding laws. Private citizens do. I don't know about that. And yeah, maybe. But let me go and I'll look at this. There are people asking to get there 4 to 5 hours early. That is insane, man. Holy shit. And so, yeah, it does look like that's what's happening. Oh, here we go. ICE is looking for criminals at airports.
Trump made a brilliant move this week, and he called me and says, let's send ICE at the airport. I thought it was a smart move. And we're filling the holes. The wait lines already dropped. Plus, we're doing a security function at the airports. We're going to arrest criminals going through this airport. We're going to look for human trafficking, sex trafficking, money, money smuggling. We're going to be at the airports working with our brothers and sisters of TSA.
Thank God.
Our brothers and sisters within DHS. President Trump made a smart move. We're going to keep the airplanes flying. We're going to get the American people to those lines quicker, and we're not going to give up President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safer every day, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
No, I think that's a good idea, obviously. And, oh, here's another one.
Well, there may be a celebration here at the airport before it's all said and done, especially for the folks who've been working nonstop, extra shifts. If you look right here, you can see this is the main checkpoint. Almost no lines, no waiting, Sarah. And it's unbelievable at this point. This morning started briskly with a lot of people showing up here at the airport. Lines were long. People were waiting about an hour, but when that rush hour went away pretty quickly this morning, we ended up with this. And there seems to be more lines open than normal right now with the TSA workers here breezing people through. In fact, a lot of folks have been showing up shocked at how short the lines are. Take a listen to some of the folks we talked to this morning.
Wow.
I don't see how extra security could be bad, you know?
Yeah, of course. Why would extra security be bad? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
some folks just get so used to going to the line they go to, they didn't even check to see what that's like. We've also seen those ICE agents moving through today. A lot of folks are saying they're very pleasant. Look, they're not wearing masks.
Fantastic PR for ICE. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that, well, this is the way ICE usually is. Like, ICE isn't a bunch of, like, armed thugs going around beating people up. The reason why they're doing that in, like, Minnesota, for example, is because they have crowds of people throwing things at them, screaming at them, and trying to drive cars into them. So, big surprise, whenever you start attacking somebody, screaming at them, and trying to kill them, they're going to be aggressive and hostile to you. I know, big shocker, right? And so what's happened is that a lot of these people have the idea that, like, oh, ICE is going to be these horrible people. Why the fuck would they do that? Why would they want to complicate their day by initiating hostility onto somebody for no reason? It would be stupid for them to do that. So I'm all for ICE. Or where this could turn to Patriot 2.0. I mean, I do think that we need to have I think that you do need to have a massive enforcement crackdown on immigration. And I think that that will take a tremendous increase in the amount of enforcement that's out there. Shadow Spawn, thanks for the 20 gifted subs. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. And yeah, I mean, I would say in doxing their families, yes, exactly. People are more inclined to behave well in the airport too. Yeah, exactly. And there's accountability for it too. And that's another, you bring up a really good point, is that they can't act that way inside of an airport because they'll be put on a no-fly list or they could be put in jail. Like, generally, you have to act like a normal human being at an airport. So, big surprise, these people act normal. And I think it goes to what I was saying before, is that this chaos and everything is a choice. It's not mandatory. There's no reason we have to allow it. And the extent that we do allow it, it just gets everybody hurt and wastes everybody's money.
Yes, in fact, on this line
That's
right
what I
here,
think.
you can see two of them standing behind the TSA agents. I'm not sure we can get complete focus on that, but just wanted to show you that they've been walking around the perimeter. Atlanta police have also been added.
That's why you said you shouldn't place unreasonable responsibility on large and small businesses. I think if a company... So I'm going to pull you up and ask you something. Do you think if a company knowingly hires illegal aliens, they should be held accountable? Like, a company knowingly is hiring them. Not that they hired them. I didn't say that. If they knowingly hired them and they ignored different checks to make sure that they aren't illegal, do you think that they should be held accountable for that? Very simple question. If they not take the reasonable steps? Okay. I mean, do you think that checking somebody's citizenship status and whether they're here legally is reasonable? Do you think that checking whether a person is here legally is reasonable for employing them? Because I want to make sure that we wrap this up. It's competitive advantage? No, it's okay. Because, like, you're saying reasonable. What does that really mean, reasonable? Because this could be like a framing that you're using to try to, you know, like, keep your point going. Investigation of their ID and testimony is true. Being valid is not their job. Well, I mean, why not just make it to where they have to check to see if somebody is a valid citizen in order to hire them? Like, why not just, because, I mean, you think that, I mean, that's got to be, that's pretty important, right? I mean, whether somebody is a citizen or not, I feel like that's a huge one. So I don't know what to say. Disagree with that? You hurt the feelings? Yeah, my old job.